Welcome to South Harmon.
Yes, sir. What's going on, my guys? We got DBro in the building. What's going on, Derek?
We here. Wednesday.
What's up, boys? Dude, I almost wore my South Harmon tank top, but I felt like nobody wanted to see that, so I left it in the drawer, man.
We got a super chat off the rip, man. Pre-game crew. Just sitting here waiting for us, man.
I was going to get all chubbed up if you were in a tank top, but, now it's just lukewarm.
Well, I mean, I was told you weren't going to wear a shirt to this, Mike. So, I mean, speaking of, promises not kept.
Well, I think maybe we'll do it like, we'll have Mike go ahead and get his shirt off like we did at the draft the one time,
Dude, you know how many dollars of super chats it took for that to happen? All right.
Just beard and chains, baby. That's all I need.
Just
beard and chains.
Wouldn't you trade all the super chats you could for a DBro appearance? I mean, come on.
Definitely would.
Too kind.
Definitely would.
Too kind. Y'all are out of.
You guys remember that? You guys remember that Shaggy song from back in the day? DBro's my angel in the morning, baby.
Oh, I thought you were going with it wasn't me.
No,
it wasn't me. Yeah, Shaggy.
I thought you were going with it wasn't me.
Come on, man. He had more than one hit. Poor Shaggy, catching strays already.
Never was his only hit, to be honest.
We never been this early. Someone says, let's go. We got Fizz in the building. We got Fizz and T-Rock here. They were, they already had DBro on
yesterday. Shit, I'm losing track of my days here, man.
Exactly. Matty Gomes is onto something, though. Listen, this is a nice little beard crew right here. Like, I put this 3 in the Big 3 tournament with anybody, honestly, with the beard game,
Mine's getting a little bit saltier. I'm getting more and more gray. I'm going to look like Mike in another damn year. Whew.
Yeah, well, look, when I started doing content, if you want to call it that, I had no basically gray at all. Now I'm catching up to Mike in a hurry. It's a lot of fun.
People keep asking, man. They're like, I get that question. I don't know if you guys get this question at all. People are like, are you ever going to dye your beard? And I'm like, shit, no, man. I earned this shit, okay? I earned this gray, okay? I'm not covering it up.
Not at all.
Time out, though.
Go ahead.
I mean,
what do you got?
I'm with you. I'm team no dye beard, all right? Yes. Like, you earned it, all right? What about the pubes, though? You start to get some of the salt and pepper there on the up top.
I don't know.
I don't think I can take that, man.
Carpet doesn't always have to match the drapes, bro. That's all I got to say.
I love that call. The carpet doesn't always have to match the drapes. That might be the theme of the show,
Oh, God. We need another theme if that's the theme of the show.
Nah, it's not. But we gotta look. Tank top DBro. I'm with Jay's. Like, look, DBro's asking for the shirt off. I'll contribute. I'll put super chats there. Mike's asking for both. I mean, wants his cake. He wants to eat it too. We'll get him there. We'll get him there. We got Tyler Berry here. We got a lot of things to talk about, DBro. I'm wanting to know a few things, but before we really get into all of that, what are your thoughts in general? Let's just go ahead and start off with Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey, I saw, has crept inside the top 10 now on Keep Trade Cut. Okay. I haven't gotten your take on Ladd. This is not supposed to be a knock or hate show on Ladd, by the way. It's just hey, welcome to the top 10. And what is your thoughts on him there as a dynasty asset and just in general about his game too?
He's a baller, dude. Everybody should have been trading for him before the season ended. I think I put out a tweet before the stretch run, and it was like everything that you look at Ladd was just off the freaking charts. You look at yards per route run. You look at yards per route run versus man coverage. You look at win rates. You look at separation scores. Like there's not a damn thing that he wasn't checking all the boxes for. So I went out and traded for him before the season. Like this is like probably like week 9 or 10. He had like this just murders row of like awesome slot matchups coming out. But like, dude, like I've got him as, where is he at? He's my wide receiver 11 right now in my dynasty ranks. So I'm with it, dude. I think he definitely needs to be a wide receiver 1, top 10. I'm totally fine with. Like I've got him in the same conversation. I think him versus JSN is a very, very interesting conversation moving forward, dude. And well, I don't care if the freaking Chargers add somebody. Like, to me, to be honest with you, I'm all for it. Add another damn wide receiver in the draft. Sign T. Higgins. I don't give a shit because I don't look at that as hurting Ladd McConkey moving forward. If anything, I'm old enough to remember, boys, where the Chargers started off the first 4 weeks of the season and they wanted to run the damn ball. And then after that, it was sky high as far as pass rate over expectation. if they add more pass game weapons to this offense, that's not slowing down, dude. So I think all the narratives about Greg Roman in the past are definitely like they're in the coffin. Like this team could be pass even more in 2025. So if that's the case, dude, like we're talking about like how many targets did Ladd have last year? What was it? Like in the 120s off the top of my head?
125, 126. Okay. Yeah. And
so
Mike,
we get a Chargers team that passes over, like that pass rate over expectation jumps up even more. We're talking about a guy that could sniff what 140, 150 targets next year. Shit. Yeah, he definitely deserves to be a wide receiver one in Dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, Mike, I'm curious. It's funny, DBro, that was the first would you rather of the segment today was going to be JSN. So you already hit it before they come up. So this one, baby. This is listen, I don't think there's a true, like, you know, clear cut. You have to have one or the other. I think they're appropriately valued right now in this range. So, Mike, for you, which of the two would you rather have? And, like, are the margins wide? And is there anything for either one of these players, for either one of you guys, that you think we should be considering, like, this offseason?
Margins aren't wide. Margins definitely aren't wide, right? Dynasty value is not wide. Production's not a wide margin. DBro hit on a lot of great points. My biggest thing that's always going to hold me back is kind of the narrative around Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh's offense. Now, second half of the year was much better. They threw the ball a lot more, sometimes out of more necessity. My only caveat is what happens? I'm just going to live in this fantasy world where I get everything that I wanted, and it's Caleb Johnson drafted to the Chargers. What happens if they do get a bell cow, not a scrap heap running back? Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen. You know how they love to just fucking pull Hassan Haskins off the street and make him something at times. So it could be much of the same, and we could see a bigger passing offense. But what if it is, hey, we found our guy, this is a dude we want to build our offense around, and we want to get back to the running game? Ladd's ceiling is always going to be kind of limited because of that, right? If they do add some more passing game weapons to it, does it eat into him? Like, is he bona fide alpha? I think he can be. I think he definitely can be. I just kind of have a little bit of that like Chris Olave type vibe with it, where it's like the offense ain't the sexiest, and all of a sudden you just skyrocket up the boards, and you get to a point, for me anyways, like I like the production, but you start talking about him in top 10 like pretty solidly, I'm going to kind of err on the side of caution in Dynasty and go, all right, if you want to pay that, you can have him. Like, I'm not actively just trying to get rid of him. Like, I'm not fire sailing. I'm not panicking on the guy or anything like that. He's a very good player that will produce. But if you're already in that tier, it's like, can you go even higher? Like, can you even push like an Amon-Ra St. Brown for production level?
That's exactly the damn name I was going to pull up, Mike. Are we just looking at early Amon-Ra? Like, but to be honest, dude,
we could be.
I mean, that's actually a great point, honestly. Yeah.
I'm going to toss this to you. Weeks 11 through 18, Ladd McConkey was on pace for 141 targets, almost 1,600 receiving yards, bro. So, like, I don't know. I feel like we are early on future Amon-Ra. And just to throw out one other little nugget here, since week 7, so week 7 through 18 of last year, the only teams with a higher pass rate over expectation were the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Vikings, the Jets, and the Dolphins. That's it. The Chargers were sixth.
Damn.
Yeah.
So,
that's a pretty actually interesting stat right there when you think about how they play, right?
Second half of the year was very, very different than the first half of the year. Now, I don't know how much that was attributed to. If you guys also remember, the first half of the year, it was like, oh shit, J.K. Dobbins is not dead. He's actually – should you go trade for J.K. Dobbins right now? Look at how much run he's getting.
Herbert was hurt too, Mike. Remember that? Was that also a function of Herbert coming out hurt? Because he was hurt in the season.
To be the devil's advocate, we've also seen Herbert hurt like every fucking year for the last 3 years. So
surprisingly,
so what happens next year when he hurts a rib again for like the 77th time?
He stays healthy because you're injury prone until you're not, baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Remember Lamar got hurt a couple years in a row. People said he would never play in the playoffs and all this narrative. Like, come on. We know that was a different conversation, but just the point of emphasis. I'm curious. So are you guys basically in lockstep on this one then?
I think his dynasty value is in the ballpark. I'm just generally erring on the side of caution with that. Like I'm going like, if somebody wants to give me something for him, cool. You want to give me the 2 first and another player or whatever, like top 10 wide receiver dynasty value, sure. Like I'll take the 3 pieces, and you can have one Ladd McConkey, and I hope to God that I find something else that's pretty similar. Which, listen, over the history of my my tear down kingness, whatever, that's usually worked out pretty fucking well for me, right? It usually works out pretty well for me in the end.
Well, one I want to talk about here, he's also playing the last game of the year, and that's going to be instead of JSN. What if it's the conversation of AJ Brown? Straight up, let's start there, and then we'll talk.
That's exactly where I was going, Mike.
Dude, this is crazy.
Go ahead,
this is crazy. No, you're good.
Call.
You're good. I mean,
he's literally my wide receiver 10. I was just about to ask you, like, what about it versus AJ Brown? Like, I have him one spot ahead of Ladd.
I don't even need DBro's rankings. I'm like, all right, DBro, we're gonna go with the first 2 right next to these guys. I know what you have in mind. Like, here's my question, straight up right now. Let's assume you're a contender for the sake of the conversation. Because if you're not a contender, the conversation is not relevant. Okay, let's assume you're a contender right now, right? If you had Ladd McConkey, would you trade for AJ Brown straight up if you had that situation as a contender?
No.
Mike?
Emphatically, no.
And I think I'm glad you guys both said that, because just with the timing and everything, we don't have to play while AJ Brown plays Sunday. We don't have to play games until forever from now, right? I want the younger asset all offseason. When we fast forward to the season, I think the answer, honestly, is right when we start will still be no, but I think it's not a very wide margin. And once they start playing games, not saying Ladd isn't great, but AJ Brown still, it could be him. We'll see what happens with the offense. But the biggest thing right now, because you guys both said no, if I can get a plus with AJ Brown for Ladd McConkey, that I am interested in as a contender. And I guess I'm going to start with a second round pick. Let's call it a mid-second round pick in this class. Is that enough to get it done for you guys?
I'm in there because I love this second round so far.
Okay.
I'm kind of on the fence, and this is where I'm at with it. Okay,
DBro, I think I know what you're gonna say every time. I start on the fence with him, and then we'll get you. We'll work your way up. Let's go.
I'm on the fence about it because here's the thing about AJ Brown.
Okay.
He's going into his age 28 season next year, so we are very close to tiptoeing towards I like to call this the Mike Evans, Julio Jones corollary, where they get to an age where people are like, I don't want to pay for this wide receiver because he's getting close to 28, 29 years old. And the production you get is way more than you're going to get back in a trade. So, plus, the other thing about it, dude, is like the way that A.J. Brown finished this season and Philly going extremely run-heavy, I think that narrative is real, but that's also going to push people down because as good as A.J. is, like, the numbers also dipped this year because of that and because of how Philly's offense went. So, as much as I like him and I think he's a stud, I think that turning the page to age 28 season next year versus him being 26 or 27 years old, I'm still going to go with Ladd, although I do like the second being part of it.
I think, and I was, listen, Mike's the tear down king, all right? But I was trying to get an answer that was somewhat split to work our way up because here's the reality. I think right now you might be able to get a little more potentially just because of the fact that the second round and a lot of the people in this class, which we're going to get to DBro's take on the Senior Bowl and some of the 25 class, they're not really that highly talked about. So a mid-second, people don't even really know what the first round looks like yet for a lot of us, right? So the second doesn't necessarily have as much appeal. If you were able to up that to, let's call it the 201 or the 112 in this class, late first, early second, DBro, how much does that change it for you? Are you still kind of feeling the same way?
I'm still kind of feeling the same way. I mean, to be honest,
I
think I'm still feeling the same way. Like, to put it this way, after we're having this conversation, I'm literally live updating my ranks. I just moved AJ Brown behind Ladd and JSN, just based off of this conversation. The more we kind of get into it,
well, and okay, so the interesting part about that is, I feel like one of the things I think about with this, right? Ladd in an asset that is young that could produce similarly to, if not higher than AJ Brown. Like that trade for me, I always feel like I want to get out a player or a pick that's more of a difference maker in most formats than will be a second round pick or even a late first. I think the reality is for me, this conversation is a really good one because in the offseason here, you're going to be able to, if you were to take on the AJ Brown age risk, right? Could I get an actual player that matters to me in in my lineup as a contender as opposed to just a pick. And I'm not saying the pick couldn't turn into that or you couldn't trade the pick into that. But let me ask you, if you were to get all of a sudden Terry McLaurin thrown in here, go double down to the age range.
If you can do that and you're a contender, like that has to be a contending roster for me. But if you're saying like I can turn Ladd into AJB and McLaurin, or hell, let's throw even Mike Evans into this. Like two of those
same
three
conversation.
Wide receivers.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, if you can get two of those three wide receivers, and you're in a depending on your starting format and stuff, like you're starting 3 wide, like you're adding 2 pieces to a starting line, a wide receiver group.
Yeah.
If I'm contending, I'm down with that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think the crazy part about it is you made a good point about the age and where he's 28. I'm not really worried about his production for the next 2 years, but the reality is his market is what I'm extremely worried about relative to Ladd's. I'm worried about Ladd's just because it's hard to stay in the top 10. I'm not saying he can not go higher, but I'm just saying that obviously there's a little bit of wiggle room to go down, but you really can go down when you have age of A.J. Brown. So it's crazy to think about a year like all offseason. If you would have asked someone, could I get A.J. Brown for Ladd? And hell no. And now the conversation is not even close the other way around, flip-flop on its head. Let me ask you guys this. We're going to pivot away from the age range. What if we talk about now cross-positionally? All right, let's go cross-positionally. Let's talk a little quarterback in Superflex. What about Bo Nix? What if it was Bo Nix straight up for Ladd McConkey? Now, you guys kind of talk about, potential context of your team and all that, Superflex, but this is going to be a 12-team Superflex Start 10 lineup league. Would you rather have Bo Nix or Ladd McConkey?
Bo Nix.
I think in a Superflex, it's a good conversation. I mean, that's really just going to, like, in a vacuum, I think I'm going Nix just based off of the format and the quarterback. If it really come down to the context of my roster in the quarterback room. It's close though. I think it depends on, there's a lot of context and stuff with that. Like it depends on your picks. It depends on, can you get a quarterback out of this class? Depends on what your quarterback room looks like.
Yep.
But just saying, let's just say your quarterback room looks like garbage. Like it's not great.
You would be lucky as hell probably to get a Bo then, right? Because if you have no quarterbacks, for sure.
Yeah, I think if you're really needing the quarterback, then I have no problem with Nix. And it's funny that I'm saying this shit because I crapped on Bo Nix the entire last process, and I gave Mike 10 types of shit. So I'll own that L because Mike was saying, look, I'm drafting Bo Nix everywhere. I'm taking him. I'm we all know the QB hoarding and stuff like that, but Mike was steadfast on it, and I was steadfast against it. So, Mike, I will do this live. I am wrong. I will own the L, sir.
I like that.
You were right, bro.
I love that. We're still very early in the show, so we can always do a.
I'm just keeping it real,
but
man.
It's a good conversation.
I was wrong.
Here's my question to you guys, because I think in Superflex, because of the scarcity of quarterback in a 12-team league, this is why I wanted to preface that, right? The conversation of QBs is definitely super serious, and I can't really argue with either one of you guys there. Let me ask you this on the standpoint of, I know Mike and I talk about quarterback hoarding, and other people do it. We're not the only people that have ever done it, right? If you're in a quarterback hoard and you have an excess QB, right? Obviously, you want to trade up and you want to trade that away for something pretty good for your team. If we think Ladd's a top 10 receiver, isn't the whole idea of the quarterback hoard in a way to trade it away for a top 10 receiver down the road at some point? So on the flip side of this as well, if you had a good quarterback room, would you do it? Do you need something better? Both of you guys, I'm curious your thoughts on this. I'll start with DBro, and let's go back to Mike.
I'll just make it easy. I'd do it in a heartbeat. I trade Nix away from Ladd. I'd do it in a heartbeat if I had a lot.
And let me give context to this too. Let's say you had. Let's go to quarterback land, right? Let's say you had Jaden Daniels, and you had. Not quite that high. Let's say you had Jaden Daniels, and you also had Caleb Williams. You had all these young QBs, Mike, those are your 3 quarterbacks.
We got 3 quarterbacks.
That's but you got some other ones you got nothing crazy high end though.
Guys. Yeah. Some starters.
Right. You have some. Let me give you some. I'll give you some names just to make the
let's push
context.
it down a little bit further, Adam. What if you had Drake May,
Sure.
and Baker Mayfield or Drake May, and even like, let's say you went early last year, Drake May, Michael Penix, like as your two.
There you go. If you have,
you
got Drake
like
May,
you loaded up, like you went productive struggle. You had a shit ton of picks last year, and you drafted all your quarterbacks from last year's class.
yeah. So
Because that can happen.
Yeah. Let's use that for example. Mike, are you doing it there? Because I know DBro said he would.
Straight up's going to be a little bit tougher for me because I'm always going to be that asshole who leverages the fact that you need a quarterback and I have them. Right?
Yeah, and you
So
have
I'm
the
gonna
leverage,
attack you.
sure. Mm-hmm.
But Ladd is like the place you start, right? Like, let me try to get into this wide receiver 1 territory with a youthful guy. So I'm probably not doing it straight up, but there's going to be a small tax just for me to feel good about it, like to be an asshole, like just so you feel it, right? Just so I
What
go,
does that have? Let me
hey,
talk to people. What does that look like?
How
Give them an
much is that
actual
tax?
name.
Are we talking like this is a third
No.
added on just to
I'm
ask
talking
for
like
it?
the 208. Like, give me the 208. in this
Mike's like, listen,
Okay,
this isn't Florida. We got an income tax up here. All right, give me something.
I need the 208, right? Like, I want to take a shot at a running back or, a Colston Loveland or, Luke Lachey, which I'll inevitably draft way too high. Something like that. Like, I'm gonna take one more piece from your team. I need this. You want the quarterback. I got the quarterbacks. I'm the only one selling quarterbacks. You have a really nice player in Ladd, but you need a quarterback desperately because you don't want to start some shitter flex in your super flex all year long. I'm giving you a young Bo Nix, Ladd McConkey in the 208, buddy, or kick fucking rocks. And I'll go to your competitors and see if they'll make that deal.
Well, okay, so right now, by the way,
Can I counterpoint this, Adam?
yeah, absolutely. Please.
Because I'll sit here and I'm gonna flip this on its head because this kind of goes just how much I
figured
love
we'd get
this
there
dude.
soon. Here we are.
Ladd or JJ McCarthy? I'm taking JJ.
Well, hold on. Let me get him up. Are you taking JJ? Let's go. Let's do this.
I'm taking JJ over Ladd.
I'd love to hear this right now. Okay. Talk about JJ McCarthy because I had a feeling that someone would. If it wasn't Mike, it would be.
Hold on, I got DBro on here, right?
Go ahead.
And Adam, I've been fighting you. I've been fighting you on JJ McCarthy. It feels like for a fucking calendar year at this point.
Mike,
So
I will say before you do that, I was just trying to make the conversation on air because the people have no voice outside the comments. So I just wanted to have you keep telling me.
Like Adam's already capitulating like out the gate.
Yeah, that's fine.
Am I
But
wrong,
DBro,
Mike? Like, doesn't that
talking
feel like
directly-
what's happening right now live?
I'm telling you nothing. I wanted to say why I made Mike talk about McCarthy every single week we could because he hated Sam Darnold doing well, and it was awesome. The final 2 weeks, I'm envisioning sitting somewhere just basking in the filth of his happiness and everyone else's downfall. But DBro, you're talking about McCarthy. I don't want to cut you off. You tell me about JJ McCarthy in this conversation.
But I got to ask DBro, right? Just so we can get this clear, right?
Yeah.
Because you're here now. JJ McCarthy, if he was in this class right now, would be the clear-cut 101, no fucking questions asked.
Not even close. Yep.
Nailed it.
I think with the quarterbacks
QB1
in the class, I would agree 100%.
Easily. I mean, this dude
Easy
was my
money,
QB2 behind only Jaden Daniels last year. So let's just put some respect on it. Like, so he would easily be the QB1 in this class, no doubt.
I've been saying for a while now. I get the dynasty value part and the rookie hype is going to continue to build, and the 101 is special for a lot of people. But with this class, with Genty as the top option, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Ted McMillan, whoever the fuck you throw up there, I have said that if I was a savvy fucking manager and I had the 101, which most people earn the 101 because their team is shit and they didn't have quarterbacks, I trade that in a heartbeat for JJ McCarthy, and I don't even think twice about it.
I wouldn't have a problem with it, to be honest. Like, even if it's not the 102, I would take the 102. I would trade it away immediately for JJ.
Bye.
Where I didn't have him in leagues, I traded for his ass every single league that I didn't already have him this year. So
let me ask for you guys then, right? Where does that mean? Because you said basically both of you were more on the fence, and you were saying you got him over Bo Nix. Where does McCarthy actually stand for you in dynasty ranks, or just relative to the quarterback field? You don't have to give me anything outside. I know this is cross positional here, but more so in quarterback land.
JJ McCarthy is my QB 12.
I was gonna ask is he a quarterback one, but I didn't want to. I felt like I was shooting high. Okay.
He's in the same area code as Herbert, Love, Purdy, Stroud. Order them how you want to.
Now, let me ask. I know Mike's very. If you haven't,
and yes, I
tuned
do
into
have
the
him
show,
above Bo Nix and
you got him
Drake
above.
May, just to keep it real.
Above Drake. Okay, now we're getting. This is going to get saucy. I love where we're headed here.
Dude,
Let me. So is he ahead of?
He's that dude. I'll fight people tooth and nail. I don't give a
That
shit.
sounds like he's your quarterback 2 potentially in the class of 24 quarterbacks. Is that right? Okay.
Yep, he was. He was behind only Jaden Daniels. He was ahead of Caleb Williams. I was there, and I'm still there.
Now, let me ask you this then. Outside of the class, let's talk about some other names that are down here. And also, we'll just bring it up with this conversation. I don't want to go away from JJ completely, but let's talk about Kyler Murray for a second then as well. Is he ahead of Kyler?
Oh, he's easily ahead of Kyler. I'm worried about Kyler.
I'm not.
Kyler was terrible as a passer last year, and he's not running as much as he used to. Kyler, if I had Kyler anywhere, I'd be selling him in Dynasty. Like, not even
Here we go. Now we're ready.
Dude, I mean, it's just – I think he's – and I'm pulling up his contract right now. I think he's one more bad year away as a passer from Arizona being like, screw this shit. We are out.
Damn. Okay, so let me ask you then. I'll go back to J.J. McCarthy. Well, actually, here, Mike, do you have any comments in regards to the Kyler conversation here before I go back to McCarthy?
I'm still in on Kyler. Unfortunately, this is going to be one of those that, if you showed at one point athletic upside, mobility in fantasy football for Dynasty for me specifically, I'm still I'm riding you till the fucking wheels fall off. This is a also masked as a Justin Fields take. This is masked as an Anthony Richardson take. This is masked at insert any dynamic running quarterback. I still believe in you because I've seen it. I know he didn't run as much, but 572 yards on the ground, that's still hitting all the thresholds I want for my dual threat quarterbacks, the ones who can have elite fantasy seasons. I do get it, though. The passing wasn't that great. It was a lot of kind of felt like all the shit I mocked Bo Nix for coming out of college.
It was a lot of those gimmicky stuff. Yeah, check down king.
A lot of
exactly.
that gimmicky check down bullshit that I fucking hate. You didn't see him push the ball down the field, and he could not figure out a way to get Marvin Harrison involved on a consistent basis. That was a struggle. He couldn't figure out how to get Trey McBride into the fucking end zone for the longest time. That was a problem.
Yep.
I just hope that this isn't so much a knock on the fact that Kyler Murray maybe regressed or struggled, and more a fact that Petzig was a absolutely fucking terrible offensive coordinator. Like, that's what I'm going to hinge to. I'm going to hinge to the fact that his offensive coordinator was fucking ass cheeks and terrible, and you get him up out of there, boom, maybe we get Kyler back to more of that 20-point fantasy range, which would be fucking amazing. So I'm not ready to bail yet because, it's real hard to say, man, the guy finished as a QB1, in points per game at 18 points, and it's like, oh, it didn't feel that sexy. It's kind of like our A.J. Brown conversation for earlier. You look at it, and then I go look at WARP, and I go, man, A.J. Brown actually finished in WARP per game above Ladd McConkey. Like, actually was better than him on the season, and I feel like A.J. Brown had a terrible fucking year. Like, it was so flaccid. So Kyler's kind of in that same boat for me. Like, I'm not ready to jump ship yet, but I do kind of agree with DBro. If you're a little bit panicked or, like, you can kind of see the writing on the wall, now is the time to sell. Like, now's the time to sell while you still have people like me out there going, don't panic, everything's gonna be okay. I promise it'll be fine.
Well, because
I can definitely tell you, if you had Kyler, and I wrote this shit up the entire year for the primer, his end of year stats look a lot better than what his actual season was. If you look at Kyler, he was the QB 15 or lower on a weekly basis in 9 of his 17 games. So he was a QB1. There were some high spike weeks that really saved his ass. Because outside of that, most weeks you were getting a middling QB2 and you didn't like what you were getting out of that.
I think here's the truth. I think, at least for me with Kyler, right? Just to give you both, I think made some really good points about him. He's probably a quarterback this offseason that I think a lot of Dynasty gamers will be concerned with. And I think in the conversation of if I was to acquire him, it would be because I'm looking for someone that is pretty panicked. Because I think there will be some panic because there's also so many young ones. So, for example, I'm pivoting away from – we got so much quarterback talk. Let's just get into quarterback talk, right? J.J. McCarthy right now, we're going to go to the would you rather as opposed to Ladd for now. instead of Kyler, because you got great points on him, let's just talk one for one right now. J.J. McCarthy, and let's talk Penix. I know that most people probably will have conversations with these guys being close because we haven't seen McCarthy. He was out all year. McCarthy, I mean, I don't want to knock Penix's weapons, but McCarthy has great weapons, and I think what we've seen, although being limited when he was in college, has been good. So your guys here on this conversation, Penix or JJM? I think DBro, yours is pretty easily McCarthy, right?
It's JJ. Like, you'd have to give me Penix and a
first. Yeah,
and a first and maybe another kicker. That's how much of a divide I have on them.
It sounds like if you have Penix shares, you should go try to get McCarthy because that's a sizable difference for you. If you have those shares, I would be doing that. So, Mike, what's the gap for you between these two, and which one do you want?
I wouldn't say it's not a first for me because I do like Michael Penix. It's JJ McCarthy ahead of Penix, and it's a good range, right? And this is just going to hinge on the fact I like Penix, and I thought people shit on him way too much, and we made fun of the pick, and they had their fucking time. It's going to be Kirk Cousins, and turns out Adam and I know a thing or two, and when we told everybody to chill the fuck out. Sometimes we know a thing or two. I like Penix's game. I like his arm talent. I like his makeup, his moxie, his experience. He has very good weapons too. His weapons aren't as good as Minnesota. We can fucking flat out say that. His offensive situation isn't as good because Kevin O'Connell is the GOAT right now. He made Sam Darnold into something. I have J.J. McCarthy ahead of Michael Penix, and not like a first gap, but it's sizable enough. And it's simply for the fact that Michael Penix doesn't run the football. I don't give a shit what that combine, or not combine, the Pro Day 40 says. I don't give a shit. It was like a 4.7, right?
That's not going to make him a rushing quarterback. Like, just because the dude ran fast in a straight line ain't going to make him mobile.
No.
Sure.
Well, I don't give a shit what we can go back to. Look what he did in his freshman year at Indiana, right? That was an eternity ago at this point.
What was it, 2015?
Everything I've seen from Michael Penix at this point has told me this fucking guy does not want to run the football. Like, he just doesn't.
I think that's the biggest point of it, for sure.
What I can definitely tell you is I saw J.J. McCarthy run the football at Michigan. I saw J.J. McCarthy willingly run the football and want to be a dynamic athlete. And I think that's just going to be expounded upon when he gets to the NFL, right? A lot of young quarterbacks in their first time. People knew Drake May was mobile. They didn't know he could run like he did. But it's a lot of things. Go back, see if your first read or your second read's open. If they're not, here's the game plan, buddy. Use your fucking athleticism and take off and run. And I know J.J. McCarthy's going to do that. Like, I know he's going to do it, and he's got Justin Jefferson. He's going to have a healthy T.J. Hawkinson. He's got the GOAT Kevin O'Connell. So J.J. McCarthy ahead of Michael Penix. I don't know. If I was being an asshole,
what are you asking for, Mike? What are you asking for?
Yeah, I was going to say, if I was being an asshole, I'd ask for what DBro
You're talking about the paying the tax. I'm like, I feel like you're not upcharging these people with this. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Give me a early second in this class. And All
right. Well, you said now it's an early second and a first. You're actually pretty close on this. All right. Not as far as
we're speaking the same shit. It's all really the late first and the early second of this class is the same shit.
One of the interesting points, if you're tapped into this though, and you have shares of either, right? The market, at least on Keep Trade Cut, is higher on Penix by a decent amount. So Penix is a quarterback 16, right? And I think both these guys are rising. Even though Penix, if you watched it, looked like the part that you should have expected, right? To Mike's point, the rushing definitely would be something that's problematic for fantasy as far as his upside goes. But if you saw what the unfolding of Sam Darnold here, right? J.J. McCarthy stocks went up without him having to do anything there. And then thinking about how good Sam Darnold was this year, right, for his career, like, damn, what it could be the upside for McCarthy. Plus, like Mike said, and he can run. So I think with McCarthy, man, it's going to be a rising stock still for a while. So I would be trying to get in to more McCarthy if I could. Basically, here's the problem. Mike is in over half my leagues, and he owns him for most of those leagues. So we're kind of just cooked. I have him where I have him, and that's going to be where it is for me. But I would suggest going to get more. What about Caleb Williams now, though? Let's talk about this.
I got out of the Caleb market in the middle of the season in the very few places that I that I went against myself and
Yeah.
I drafted him just to get exposure. I got out. I'm fully out.
Are you really? Okay, so are you?
Yes,
Does
fully
that
out.
mean that you got out because the price was high earlier, or does that mean you're concerned for the career?
I'm concerned for the career. I was concerned as a prospect. I was concerned before he even hit the NFL field, and I took 10 types of shit for that last process by, all the, oh, you got him at QB3. This is you're a clown. It's clickbait, bro. Come on.
Well,
and then he goes out there and he has the rookie season he had. I'm not trying to shade the guy, but like there were concerns that a lot of people just said, well, fuck it. Like I'm just going to ignore those because he's a football god. Like, we love all the flag football, run around for 15 seconds, chuck the ball, don't play on schedule. Like, we love all that shit. We love the highlights. You can't live in that world every single freaking snap. Like, it doesn't work that way in the NFL, man. Like, you can't do it. And so I'm fully out on Caleb. Like, I'll trade him for people want to give me, like, I'll take Penix plus, I'll take Drake May plus, I'll take JJ plus. Like, I'll take all these guys plus. Like, I'll even take Kyler Murray's butt over Caleb Williams. Give me him.
Wow.
I'm out, dude. Like,
interesting.
I can't reconcile for myself being lower than consensus on Caleb Williams as a prospect. Then he goes out there and he is legit in the dumpster for every tangible accuracy metric out there, and then be like, oh man, Ben Johnson's gonna fix all of it. Like, okay, sure. I mean, you can hope for that. I'm not paying that damn market price. Nope.
Well, and that's the biggest thing, right? Is the market is still like, obviously it's not what it was last offseason.
Where's he at, Adam? Because I promise you, like, he probably
quarterback 10 in Dynasty. Quarterback 10 in Dynasty on Keep Trade Cut. But here's the crazy one. That sound, honestly, like, it may not sound that crazy to you given the how you view quarterback 10 to 16. I think the biggest thing is, though, he's still 22 overall. So that is still a very pricey asset if at that market. I'm curious though, Mike, for you. I know you're not as out as DBro is, but how close is the conversation for these two for you? And then any counterpoints for Caleb?
JJ McCarthy is the perfect one if you have Caleb and you have any concerns, right? Like, you listen to Derek and you go, oh shit, like, he's right. Like, I'm starting to panic. He's a fucking perfect one to tear down, right? Because nobody values JJ McCarthy anywhere close to Caleb Williams in the general Dynasty community.
Most people don't, right?
Caleb Williams is a very mid to late second at worst startup pick. Like, the lock of, you want to talk about who's in that fucking range in a super flex draft, it's Caleb Williams. Like,
sure.
It's that dude. JJ McCarthy is not in that conversation no matter how bad Sam Darnold is, right? We don't know what we haven't seen, right? That's the general consensus of the Dynasty community. We're scared because we didn't see him. He was hurt all last year. He could be ass. Maybe they bring back Sam Darnold. Whatever the fuck the excuse is,
sure.
People don't value JJ McCarthy damn near even close to what Caleb was. So if you're panicked on Caleb, that's a perfect one. I am, again, like Kyler Murray, not super panicked on it. DBro stole my fucking thunder here with this Ben Johnson's going to fix everything, because I was going to give you 5 words in Ben Johnson.
Dude, I was that was the best part of the rant. Not that the rant wasn't good, but I'm like, damn, he just totally took Mike's microphone from him. That's awesome. It's awesome.
Son of a bitch. In Ben Johnson, I trust. In Rome Odunze, I trust. I think he'll get Caleb straightened out to an extent. He definitely learned this year that I think it's a good point. He's not playing fucking Sisters of St. Mary's Culinary School, and he can't do 7 fucking oopty-oops and fucking chuck it down the field. Like, I hope to God this fucking guy learned that he can't do that shit. But you just want to talk what I look at from a quarterback. He was decent in fantasy points. Like, he had moments where he had games where you're like, damn, he can actually be a warp difference maker for me. He ran the football.
Their defense fell apart, though, Mike. If their defense is better...
Is it going to get better?
That many attempts in 2025, baby. It ain't happening.
Is it going to get better?
He ran the football at a decent enough clip, too. I mean, he's almost at 500 yards on the season, which is good enough for me to go, now you got a safe-ish floor. Understandable. But there are some metrics that point out where I'm like, okay, danger plays, that kind of stuff, that ranks way too high. We all saw that shit. But as far as like lasering one in there, putting a dot on, I'm like, there's that fucking Caleb Williams that we were hyping up, man. He can still do it. I just think a lot of times with rookie quarterbacks, we get too spoiled by the fact that everybody needs to be Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, right out the fucking gate. And sometimes it takes a little bit to settle these fucking guys down and get them acclimated. Mm-hmm. We want to panic every single time that the savior, the anointed one, comes out and just doesn't do it. I remember when Trevor Lawrence was playing under dog shit Urban Meyer, and he's fucking terrible. Now, that's not to say that I believe in Trevor Lawrence now, okay? Trevor Lawrence has had his fucking time.
Well, I didn't even pull the graphic because I don't feel like it's warranted, but it's funny because the person on Keep Trade Cut sandwiched in between these two is Trevor Lawrence, not Caleb, but Penix and JJ McCarthy. I'm very out on Lawrence, but keep going, Mike.
But I'm just saying, sometimes we need
over Caleb.
Would you?
We need to have a little patience with quarterbacks, just a little patience. All right, they're rookies, they're fucking stupid. I mean, you guys have all watched Draft Day. God damn, I can't think of is it Dennis Leary who plays the coach?
Sorry,
yes,
yeah.
He goes, the thing I hate about
that Caleb Williams is Bo Callahan. Is that what we're getting to?
Dude, Mike set himself up for that. That was right there.
I'm asking. I'm trying to help Mike connect the dots. Is that where we're going?
No, Dennis Leary just says that he hates fucking rookie quarterbacks because they're slow, they're stupid, they panic all the time, they shit their pants. Okay, like this is why I don't like rookie quarterbacks. All right, like this happens. Okay, like it's established. Most rookie quarterbacks are stupid. Okay, it just happens. It takes a while. So I'm not fully panicked on Caleb Williams, but I do agree that the fucking pertinent dynasty move is to go find that manager in your league who's got JJ McCarthy. If you have any iota of doubt on Caleb Williams, and even if you believe in Caleb Williams like I do, still go see like what that manager will give you on top of JJ McCarthy for your Caleb Williams. Like just go fucking do it. JJ McCarthy's
Can I add a little bit of stat layers to this?
You can add a lot of it, but a little bit.
There's actually some analysis to back up. Me coming off as a massive hater here.
I love this.
So 44 qualifying quarterbacks last year. This is where Mr. Caleb Williams ranked in all these accuracy metrics. Okay, CPOE, he was 27th out of 44. That's not terrible.
It's not good.
His accurate throw rate, he was 29th out of 44. His catchable target rate, the only quarterback worse than him in catchable target rate was Anthony Richardson. And Mr. Caleb Williams in off-target rate was the 10th highest. The only quarterbacks, I'll put it this way, the three quarterbacks above him, I'll just read off the list so you know what neighborhood he's living in as far as off-target rate. Aaron Rodgers, Mac Jones, Jameis Winston, and Jacoby Brissett, if that's a neighborhood we want to live in.
That's a short list, and I don't think it's a great one, personally. But
saying.
The only thing I will say, the reason I would be interested in this type of a trade if it existed was just because I feel like you brought up T-Law. The main thing for me with T-Law, with Caleb, at least for what I'm seeing now, is the market. I don't think overall, big picture, is going to like overly cool on Caleb to the degree that he actually would be if he's bad. Like, I think he's still value insulated because people still see it's Caleb Williams. So, like, even if he's a slightly improved,
really cashing a lot of checks for him, bro.
And that's the thing. He's quarterback 22, and think about, we had all these quarterback successes to an extent in this class, and he really was not one of them, but he still is maintaining value and ahead of Bo Nix, ahead of these guys. So I think that's the main reason why, if there was a Caleb Panicker, I would be interested at that point. But I will tell you this, in T-Rock's in the league, in Fade the Fetal, I drafted both of these gentlemen, and but I took Caleb ahead of Jaden, and I strongly regret that. And I don't think I could trade both these guys for Jaden Daniels, and I wish I could. So here we are anyway. Would you take, real quick, would you take these two quarterbacks and trade for Jaden Daniels if that came in your inbox, or is that not even getting a conversation started?
Wait. Who for Jaden?
Caleb and JJ McCarthy. Would you trade your Jaden Daniels for these two quarterbacks if you could go 2 for 1, or would you stay Jaden?
Oh, dude, it'd be. I would need. So I would need
I know you're high on JJ, so that's why I'm curious.
I would need McCarthy and like probably the 102 so I could get Shador. Probably is the conversation I'd be having to move Jaden.
You could probably get Caleb could probably net you Shador, so you might be willing to make this trade. Mike, you're saying no?
I would take Shador over Caleb straight up.
So yeah, you would.
Jaden doesn't go. I'm living off this for the rest of my fucking life. Everybody out there who doubted me said Jaden wasn't QB1.
He was my QB1, baby. So we riding together.
Some people on this fucking company tried to tell me that I should take a wide receiver with the pick instead of
Damn
Jaden
right,
Daniels.
baby. Damn right.
And I told him to fuck off.
That's right. Well, I mean, it's okay.
I was told Jaden Daniels is too small. I was told Jaden Daniels could not throw. I was told that his offense was bad. I was told Jaden Daniels was at a slide. I was told Jaden Daniels was going to get hurt. I was also told that Jaden Daniels is a one-hit wonder. I was also told that Jaden Daniels is a product of his wide receivers at LSU. Where are all those shitty narratives now? Where are they at? I don't hear people saying it now.
De'Ami Brown's pretty great now. All of a sudden, like it's. I mean,
I'm just saying.
How many one-hit wonders can you have? He destroyed the narratives.
Where's
we know
it at?
that.
Where's it at?
Well, those takes are long gone. Those are buried. X tweets were deleted. People had to go the Brady route on that thing. They wanted to delete evidence if it was out there, right? There's no way they take that. Let me just ask you guys real quick, because I wouldn't be doing this right if I didn't do this, especially at the point when I have control of the graphics. Would you rather have Purdy or JJ McCarthy, Mike?
I don't know if I'm the only one too. I haven't seen a graphic. You have to ask the chat. I haven't seen. Oh,
for real? They're not coming up. Dang.
Yeah, for real. I thought you were just
I was like, I wasn't gonna put.
Dude, that's actually awesome. I look like a crazy person.
You do.
That's so great. You guys don't tell me this until 40 minutes into the show. It's awesome. Thank you.
Dude, there's 1,400. There's 1,400 fucking people watching this show, and nobody said it until now. I gotta be the asshole.
Well, that's the best part. Is like the numbers keep going up, and I keep referring to graphics on the screen. I'm telling DBro, these guys. I see them. You don't. This is amazing. This is fantastic. Fantastic.
Bro, I was thinking the same thing, but I was like, man, I'm going to be an asshole if I
bring
this up right now
mid-show. That's just so awesome. Thank you guys for this levity. That's awesome. I guess I should stop putting them on the screen for no one to be able to see them too.
Not a single person has seen a fucking graphic. This whole show.
Oh, dude. Oh, it just got so hot over here. It's so awesome.
The replies of this show on X. All the graphics.
Okay.
Adam, I don't want your hard work to go to waste, baby.
Oh, well, it's not going to waste now. At least I have, the second half of the show to not waste it on.
My bad, Jake. Jake says in chat we could have had him longer. Like it was an unspoken running joke.
Damn it. Brock Purdy or JJ McCarthy, Michael?
Oh, come on. Stop it.
And also DBro, what do you got? I know you're high on. How high do you have Purdy in your ranks versus
I've got Purdy at QB12. So,
okay, so are you, Mike? What would the price difference be between these two? Because I know how much you have a disdain for Brocky.
6'7" firstborn. Brock Purdy fucking sucks.
All right, let's get him off the screen. What about Jordan Love then?
He still not on the screen, so you don't have to worry.
That's true. Jordan Love. Mike, you gotta let me play into it now. I don't have anything on the screen.
Okay. My bad.
Yep.
I mean, he's living in the same area code. I got Jordan Love at QB9, JJ's at QB11. So they're in the same area code. If I can get a good plus on top of JJ, I'll easily downgrade. I'll tear down.
Damn it, Jake! You really did that to me. I think that's the crazy part is I'm a little bit concerned about Jordan Love. I'm not like long-term concerned though. I think he's going to be but if there's a conversation to be had where this is really here, I don't know that if I had a lot of shares of JJ, I would probably pivot into Love. Right now I don't have enough, so I'm going to stay with the upside play of JJ McCarthy. But I think if you were like risk averse, if you wanted to make that type of a trade where you're getting Jordan Love for JJ McCarthy, I think the risk averse side would make sense. But Mike, where are you on that?
They're in the same ballpark, same tier. But I'm probably going to lead JJ McCarthy just for the upside. It also, listen, I'm kind of being facetious, but also kind of not. It feels like Jordan Love still needs a receiver. Like he just needs something. We look at it.
It wasn't Jaden Reed, huh?
You're reading from the Josh Jacobs playbook here, apparently from today interviews.
This motherfucker's out here. We're like, oh, he's got Jaden Reed. He's got Christian Watson for 4 games and Romeo Dobbs and, everybody's fucking fantasy darling Dontavian Wicks, who's actually just not that good. He's just not good. It still actually feels like he just needs a receiver. He needs a fucking alpha. He needs somebody out there who's going to be there and be consistent. But I think they're in the same ballpark. Jordan Love's got a lot of talent, but I'm going to go with the upside of J.J. McCarthy. I think I'd be a little bit aggressive here, trying to get the rushing upside, because I know Jordan Love's not going to run the ball for 500 yards.
I'm going to bring up a guy, and this is somebody I talked to T-Rock and Fizz on, and apparently I am like
Goff.
I'm on an island. Yeah, Jared Goff, dude. Like, I am apparently on an island. Like, I have Jared Goff as my QB7 in Dynasty, and apparently that's maybe crazy sauce, but I don't see why it is. Like, the dude's been a top 12 quarterback last 2 years. His ecosystem's freaking awesome. His weapons are awesome. I don't give a shit if Ben Johnson leaves. Like, they're still going to be like a top 5 offense in the NFL. Like, I don't know why. Apparently Jared Goff is way lower. Where's he at on Keep Trade Cut? Because apparently I'm drunk on Jared Goff and I didn't know I was.
Well, it's a good conversation, I think, to have. Jared Goff he's quarterback 20.
What?
Yeah, and he's asset 53. So what that means is he's off the first page, D-Bro.
Why? Why is he that low? Like, am I like how? I'm not insane, dude. Like, this guy's a locked-in QB1.
Some people
for the next
think so.
2 to 3 seasons.
Especially me, because you can't even see what's on the screen. No, I mean, I think with Goff, it's just this time of year, he's not exciting to begin with, right? And now this time of year, people want to get younger assets. And there happens to be this class that just came out, 24, with a lot of quarterbacks. And then what'll be interesting to see is if any of these 25 guys get ahead of Goff too. But I think you made some good points on the Vibe stream, so I'm curious to hear a little bit more of Jared Goff from you too. I think, to me, he would be a value that I would be willing to go to if I needed
5,000 damn yards, dude.
But
like,
what did he finish at quarterback wise? What did he finish at as quarterback? Quarterback 7. There you go.
7.
Yep.
Like, huh?
Well, the interesting one to me though is, like, I don't have any problem with Baker, but why is Baker quarterback 14 and he's quarterback 20? That's my big. Like,
I've got Baker QB 13. I mean, they're not that far apart for me.
There you go. But that's the thing. Jared Goff's kind of like a discount version of Baker, honestly.
He does not run the football.
No,
does not run the football. Just lost a great offense coordinator. I get the weapons are still good.
You guys want to talk about Ben Johnson again, huh?
You just saw the ceiling from Jared Goff, which is 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns, right? Like, that's the ceiling play for Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to buy him at his ceiling, right? Like, so listen, 20 is probably
Mike. He's QB 20 freaking 2.
That's what I'm saying though. QB 20 is fucking disrespectful. It's disrespectful. He is a very good QB 2, and he should be valued as such. He should be in the tier with Jordan Love. He should be in the tier with Brock Purdy and Baker Mayfield and those fucking dudes, right? He should be in the tier with the upside play of Michael Penix. He should be in the tier with people still believing in Trevor Lawrence. Like, that's where he should be. Mm-hmm. He's not. So if you're going to get him at QB 20 prices, that's a fucking steal. I will say, though, like, having him any higher than, like, 13 is fucking abysmal. Like, you're betting on something that's not likely to happen again. Like, you have to have all the pieces come together as a statue pocket passer quarterback to have these kind of seasons, which included Patrick Mahomes being shit, Justin Herbert being stuck in a run-heavy offense for the first part, C.J. Stroud majorly regressing, Jordan Love going through his ups and downs, J.J. McCarthy not playing the whole entire fucking year. In general, quarterback scoring, especially for the first part with this running back resurgence, was very down. Now, you kind of saw in the second half of the year, quarterbacks and wide receivers really picked up the fucking game. So to gamble on a, like, man, Jared Goff is such a steal if I'm getting him at, 2 first, I got to trade away. That's where you start to lose me, where I go, fuck no, no, I'm not going to do it, right? Because I can go get an upside play in J.J. McCarthy for cheaper, right? I can go get somebody with some rushing potential. I can go buy low on Kyler Murray if people hate him, or Caleb Williams, which for fantasy purposes, while NFL's wise, They may not be a better quarterback than Jared Goff, but for fantasy purposes, I can tell you almost consistently they will probably be a better quarterback than Jared Goff. But I do agree, QB 20 is a fucking like, why? Like, why are we valuing him so much different than fucking Brock Purdy, who also relies on really good fucking dynamic weapons? Like, who really struggles when all the pieces aren't absolutely perfect for him. So to say there's a massive gap between the two, or like you pointed out, Adam, Baker Mayfield is kind of fucking just being an asshole. Like, you're ranking him on keep trade cut like a pure dick. You need to stop it.
Yeah. So like right now, speaking of keep trade cut, I'm just pulling up some to see. Basically, Keep Trade Cut has on their trade calculator, which you do with that as you will. Don't shoot the messenger on this. But you can get the 107 with Jared Goff. You go from Caleb Williams down to Jared Goff and get the 107. Like, see, I think that's probably shooting too high. But to me, that would be the conversation this offseason. If someone does want to get into Caleb Williams, they do see the Ben Johnson thing. And especially with this conversation, Ben Johnson is so relevant. Like, literally leaving one to the other. Hey, if I could get a 112, a 110 even, right, I would make that pivot any first in this class, a player that's going to be of relevance in that same range. I would do that, Mike. Would you?
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to bring up with the Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield thing, it's like for some reason in Dynasty too, people think Baker Mayfield's like 26 years old. You know what I mean? And Jared Goff's 32.
Jared Goff's reality, 30, right?
They're a half a year apart.
30. Yeah.
They're a half a year apart, man.
But in QB, I mean, that's not old.
No,
you know?
No. We got another 6-7 years at least.
Yeah, right? You got another like 5 to 6 years.
So I'm
just
curious.
Started, baby.
I'm curious to pivot. Go ahead, DBro. You got something to say.
So I think the bigger conversation for me with quarterback in Dynasty, and I guess like why I have Goff as high as I do as well, is because after you get outside the top 5 Dynasty quarterbacks, it's a long tier of pick your flavor. That's really what it comes down to for me. Like, you have Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, and Jalen Hurts as kind of like, holy shit, like they have top 2, top 3 upside on a yearly basis. And then you've got a bunch of other dudes. Like, there's a long tier of about like 10 to 12 quarterbacks that are all going to be in that, like, depending on how their years go, probably in that like QB7 to QB6 to QB12 range for the next like 2 to 3 seasons.
It's kind of an interesting thing when you talk about that, right? Like, we look at QB7, and if you want to look at total warp for Jared Goff, he was QB7, but he's not that far ahead of Sam Darnold, who nobody thinks is good. Like, maybe Sam Darnold's mom thinks
because he's not. Because Sam Darnold's not.
Because he's not. And he's not that far ahead of Bo Nix, who, in his rookie year, with fucking nobodies, no running game, bunch of shitbirds, Cortland Sutton, and Sean Payton. That's all this fucking guy had to his name. Came out and almost, for fantasy points-wise and for war points-wise, put up the same thing that a guy in an offense with Ben Johnson and Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown and a breakout Jameson Williams and fucking Sammy Ballgame and a fantastic offensive line. Bo Nix did this with a fucking trash heap dog shit. Like, what is that? What's that line for Iron Man? Tony Stark built this in a cave. Like, this is Bo Nix, right? Like, he did it in a cave with fucking scrap metal. And he almost, for warp perspective, produced the same amount as Jared Goff, who had everything going for him. So that is probably my biggest issue. Like, when I say this was the ceiling, it was great. It was awesome. And if he's consistent at it, fucking great. Like, you got yourself a steal. I'm just saying, I can't pay fucking QB1 prices for somebody who I've already seen. There you go. There's your peak. It's kind of like the Ladd McConkey thing. Like, I don't know if you can go any higher. And if you can't go any higher, which I'm venturing to say Jared Goff can't, because he's only going to run the ball for about 60 yards a fucking year, which is, Jay Daniels to do that in a half, Lamar Jackson to do that in the first quarter. That's where fantasy points come from the quarterback position. So if you're not a runner, or you're not always going to throw for damn near 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards every single year, a la like Joe Burrow or maybe a Patrick Mahomes, I can't put a place in my fucking dynasty heart to rank you that high. I really can't. You're just a really good QB2 to me. You're really solid, and if I can get you at a value, I want you on my team, but I'm not doing mental gymnastics or backflips to go out to try to acquire you.
I don't disagree with that. What I will say, and can you subdivide that by weeks, Mike, as far as warp?
Because the only reason a straight.
Yep.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
So the reason I'm bringing it up is weeks 9 through 18. Where was Bo Nix at? Because the only reason I'm bringing this up, dude, is because his rushing did dip towards the back half of the season. A lot of his rushing, and he had, I mean, dude, we're talking about like he didn't have a rushing touchdown after week 8. He didn't eclipse more than 47 rushing yards in any game after week 9. After week 8, actually. He was only single digits in rushing 6 games after week 8. So how much did he drop off? Because I think, and I don't disagree with it, I think Bo Nix will run some, but I don't think that he's going to run in his second year as much as he did in his first. I think we're going to see that fall off because we already saw it fall off in the second half.
Jared Goff was a 1.019 WAR from weeks 9 through 17. We don't keep track of week 18 because nobody should be playing fantasy in week 18. But
it was 1.09, you said, right?
1.019. He was QB 5 overall in WAR during that time span. Bo Nix was QB 10.751.
Okay.
So notable quarterbacks that Jared Goff was ahead of Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, the aforementioned one, and Jalen Hurts with that offensive shift there towards the end. So Jared Goff was a little bit better in those quarterbacks in the back half. It's not absurd, though, to think like Bo Nix at QB 10 was better than Justin Herbert, Bryce Young, who had a nice resurgence, Caleb Williams, who we mentioned on the show. Brock Purdy is dog shit, so we're not even going to talk about him. And everybody's darling. Maybe not everybody's darling. Definitely my darling, Drake May.
There you go. Not actually DBro's. Terminal sarcasm. Speaking of sarcasm, I did figure out the problem.
We got graphics.
Graphics. I was set. Well, yes. It was an illusion before, but terminal sarcasm.
There's one. Woo!
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. But
there's a player.
I love this comment, and also I want to pivot. If you guys don't have any further comments on some of the quarterbacks, I want to get to running backs because I think this year as a whole for running back was not that every year it's not running backs that have a big deciding factor in who wins fantasy, but because so many stayed healthy and there were some really big years from a lot of different running backs, I feel like the market had no choice but to pay attention and change some. So Bucky Irving is one of the top 6 current running backs on Keep Trade Cut, which, again, you talk about last offseason, people out. Oh, my goodness. Running back, tell them they're top 10 running back next year. I think everybody that even liked Bucky would laugh you out the building. Top 10, frankly. So at this point, running back 6, where are you at, DBro? I know where kind of Mike is, but Mike, you can give us your thoughts too. Bucky Irving, before we go to Would You Rather, what do you think of the player?
For me? I like Bucky. Like, I think what they did in Tampa Bay was they utilized him to the best of his skill set. Like, if you looked at Bucky and the thing about him as a prospect, if you got him into the second level, if you got him downhill, that he could do damage. And that's where really, like, he was a build-up speed guy. If they were going to ask him to run a lot of, like, outside and stretch zone, then he was not going to be very good. Because he doesn't move laterally as well as I think a lot of people would think considering the rookie season. And I think that's where his testing shows up. So I think Tampa Bay kind of pulled the Kyron Williams playbook. They went heavy. They got him downhill. They got him in a gap scheme. And I think that's, even with Liam leaving, I think that's going to remain because I don't see a reason if you're the Buccaneers, why the hell would you change that? So Bucky, I mean, I've got him at RB8 in Dynasty right now.
Please don't. RB8, okay. That's pretty high. So you're relatively in with consensus, I'd say.
I'm in.
Mike, I know where you're at. So let's just pop the conversation off, all right? Let's start with Breece Hall or Bucky Irving.
Breece.
Okay. You guys are pretty quick on that, not much discussion. So is this a sizable gap?
No, he's RB6 for me. Versus Bucky's RB8. Dude, there's only so much that I can knock down Bucky Irving. When you bust out the gate and you have a Devon Achane level efficiency season as far as tackle breaking metrics, like you're a fucking dude. You know what I mean? Like you just are. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like I can't bump you down that much. Like I think Bucky Irving versus Chase Brown is a very interesting conversation.
Well, okay. Well, you put HN up. Let's just real quick. You said HN. I put him on the screen. Now you can actually see what I'm putting up. So
look, there's HN.
do you, Mike, agree? Is it pretty sizable here?
I'm not going to say sizable. For a lot of these running backs, they're going to be very, very close, right?
Okay.
Even on guys that I didn't like coming in, right? Like I fucked up on Bucky Irvin. I fucked up on Kyron Williams, right? A lot of similarities between the two, which is great. Like you didn't test well. You're small. You're kind of slow. I don't fucking like you. It's a flaw in my process. In general, it has worked out pretty well for me, but I fucking missed on these two guys. I'll say between him and Brees or him and HN, it's not a sizable gap, but I'm taking, Brees and HN over Bucky at this point. Still.
All right, so let's have the DBro conversation, then we'll get into.
I have Bucky over HN. I'll throw that out there. I have it's Brees over Bucky, and then I have Bucky over HN.
Okay, so
okay,
Chase Brown and Bucky you mentioned as one of the would you rather. I think this is a good conversation. Keep Trade Cut has them pretty far apart. Where are you at, Mike, on this conversation? Chase Brown or Bucky Irving?
Dude, Maddie fucking put me onto this, man. I'm going to be hot takey here.
I love this.
Chase Brown. I'm taking Chase Brown over Bucky Irving. Chase Brown
he's Cincinnati's CMC, bro. Come on.
Dude, he just absolutely fucking smashed to the end of the year. In crunch time, money time, when everybody needed it. I didn't want to believe it, right? I'm out here saying, like, what if Cincinnati takes Taj Brooks in the 3rd round? Like, fucking Chase Brown's irrelevant. That shit didn't fucking matter, man. I look like a fucking asshole.
Yep.
I'll take Chase Brown over Bucky Irving. One, because the offense is better. As long as you got Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, you're going to be just fine. The way they used him was absolutely insane. And as of right now, and maybe throughout the offseason, like we don't know what they're going to do, but he literally has no fucking competition. There is nobody there that scares the shit out of me. Rashad White, while we make fun of him and is not the most dynamic, not the most fluid guy, has his flaws and warts, they still down the stretch did use him a fair share in like crunch situations where you're like, fuck, man, I wish Bucky was out there. But instead it's Rashad White getting the touchdown. And it pisses you off.
Sure.
And until he actually just kicks the dust and goes somewhere else or they get rid of him, that's always kind of going to be a little pain in the ass and a thorn in the side. So Chase Brown for me.
DBro?
Oh, yeah, it's Chase Brown, dude.
I'm
in on Chase Brown. I mean, he was utilized as Cincinnati's CMC, dude. I think it's notable. I'm and look, I didn't like Chase Brown coming out as a prospect, but you can't dismiss the role that he had. There's nobody competing with him for touches. I think they do add somebody this offseason in the draft because this is such a deep running back class, and you don't want freaking Travion Williams getting so many touches. And you probably don't want – here's the other thing. I don't want Chase Brown playing 99% of the snaps. Put him in 70% of the snaps. I'm totally fine. Give him all the passing down work and all the high leverage shit. That's cool. Like, keep him healthy all year. I don't want Chase Brown getting like 400 freaking touches. I'm totally down for that. I don't want him getting ruined. So I don't care if they drop him to like a 70% running back. That's totally fine. He's still going to get all the touches that matter, that scores points. And yeah, I just don't see it like, again, going back to the split backfield, I think Rashad White still is a thing. He's still going to be involved in that backfield. I do think that the dip from Liam Cohen to, I don't even know if they've even hired anybody for the Bucs OC. I think they have, but regardless, I think that is more tangible of a dip than Ben Johnson leaving Detroit. So looking at that, I do think that if we're splitting hairs here, it's easy Chase Brown for me. I got a guy that I'm maybe over the moon for, but I don't know where y'all sit with.
Tell me.
I've got Kenneth Walker above all those dudes.
Interesting.
And
well, let's go
maybe
talk about
I'm
that
insane,
then.
But Kenneth Walker quietly had Chase Brown usage before he got hurt and before Zach Charbonnet got the run. And now we're talking about Clint Kubiak, who was freaking awesome last year as the Saints OC when they actually had healthy guys, is now in town. They're going to run the damn ball. And their offensive line cannot get any worse than it was last year. Kenneth Walker is legitimately one of the best pure runners in the damn NFL. And because of bad offensive line, like bad offensive, like Shane Waldron bullshit, We have never seen the monster season from Kenneth Walker. I think we get that shit in 2025.
I love the energy. I love the take. I love Kenneth Walker. I don't disagree.
And Mike is touching himself, so maybe I think he agrees.
So do
You got big old balls, my friend, and I respect you. This is why I fucking love you. Because
All right.
even I don't have the fucking balls to come out here and be like Kenneth Walker over Bucky Irvin, bitches.
Now
Mic
let me.
drop.
I want clarity on this. DBro, is it Kenneth Walker over both Chase Brown and Bucky? Then is that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, Mike,
Let's
can you give me
fucking
one?
go.
Can you give me first Bucky and Kenneth Walker? Where you at?
Dude, well, now I feel like it's okay for me to, step out of the
It-
closet.
this is a safe space, even though you guys. I can tell you guys stuff. You guys don't tell me things, okay? I'll tell you. You don't have to tell me. It's okay. It's all right. You can say what you need to say. It's fine.
I've come with some zingers where I'm like, Mike's off the wall here.
Wait, did you have to wait an hour into the show for DBro to make a spicy take to finally feel like you can talk now? Come on. Give me what the hell you mean. Say it with your
He
chest.
felt like he felt like he had thrown it enough whenever he threw out the graphic part. So
that's
Mike was
that's
like, I don't
true.
know how to push this. How far it is.
Mike the whole time was like, see, they're silently saying to each other, see, this is what I'm dealing with a crazy person here, like this is what I do.
Oh, this is fucking great, man.
So
now
good.
I feel so free. This is so free.
Well, then let it out. Where are you actually on the
Walker
conversation?
RB12 in fantasy points per game last year, just to put some respect on his name.
And that was his
already.
That was his best season, right? Points per
Kenneth
game wise.
Walker should be a top 5 running back in Dynasty. Eat it.
I mean, I have him at RB5, so I'm with you.
Damn.
Let's
Well,
go.
All right. I was not expecting to have to, be on the show where two people have him inside the top 5.
Mike, do you have him ranked that high, or are you riding with me?
I
on
do
this?
not. I've been a
Okay.
been a fucking pussy.
Oh, I thought I was
scared.
I thought you were actually telling me he was a top 5 one. Okay. So he's
All
not top 5
season-
for you.
All season, anytime I tried to put out Kenneth Walker love, I was met with resistance. And I was told, you can't do it, Mike. And
Well, I'm going to meet you with resistance right now.
What
Can
I
you just
mean-
pick one of these two first? How about that?
Yes, Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker, Adam.
Ooh, okay.
I said it with my chest. Kenneth
All right.
Walker.
And what
K9, KW third, whatever the fuck you want to say.
about Chase Brown then? Or Kenneth
Walker.
Okay.
Kenneth Walker.
And DBro's already said that. So damn. That got out of hand fast. It really got out of hand.
Kenneth Walker led the
that's
entire
going quick.
NFL in missed tackles forced per attempt, and he was top 10 in yards after contact per attempt last year. And he speaking of things we want to put in a coffin, I'm old enough to remember when everybody said Kenneth Walker couldn't catch a damn pass.
Well, dude,
Everybody
there's two
still
things
on that
I want to talk about. One, and for people that are concerned, can he catch passes? And two, is Zach Charbonnet dead?
I mean,
There's a little quiet, closet Zach Charbonnet audience in there somewhere.
Whenever Kenneth Walker came back, whose backfield was it? Did you see Charbonnet working in? Because I sure as hell didn't.
That's been ours, and primarily Mike being vocal when he's feeling spicy enough to tell people that. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm curious for you
And I like
and for people
Charbonnet.
listening.
This is
Do
not
you
an
have any concern
anti-Charbonnet
about those? Okay.
This is not an anti-Charbonnet take.
I feel like people
Zach
are going to
Charbonnet.
have a problem with you being pro Sharbs and pro top 5 Kenneth Walker, but I love the idea. I'm curious. Do you have any concerns about pass catching or Charbonnet? Honestly, either one of you, Mike or DBro.
No,
Go
I
ahead,
don't have
Mike,
a problem.
and then I'm going to give some stats on Kenneth Walker, the receiver.
Please do.
Firmly
I
put
love
haters
The
in a coffin.
Charbonnet thing has always been this, man, and I attribute it to the Jalen Warren thing. You remember, Adam? I came out and I said, man, I kind of like Jalen Warren too. Like Eric put me on to Jalen Warren. I kind of like Jalen Warren. Here's the biggest fucking problem with Jalen Warren. As long as Najee Harris is fucking there, they have never shown the ability to give Jalen Warren the majority of the touches. It's not going to fucking happen. So all the Jalen Warren truthers, I'm sorry, you got fucking buried for the last couple of years. I've heard it for multiple years, all right? The Zach Charbonnet thing is a lot like it. Zach Charbonnet gets in there when Kenneth Walker is out, and you're like, God damn, Zach Charbonnet's good. He's good.
Yep.
I like Charbonnet too. You and I have liked Charbonnet for a long fucking time. The problem is Kenneth Walker's just flat out fucking better. And whenever Kenneth
Easily
Walker
better.
is healthy, it is his fucking team. It is his team. He is the man. He is Denzel Washington in Training Day. He's King Kong in this motherfucker. He runs this.
Yep.
All right. He's putting cases on all these bitches.
I
one of them.
love this. Okay. I like Kenneth Walker quite a bit. I think the only thing that differs for him with those two that we talked about with Brown and Bucky is the age fallacy for running back, right? Which we saw. This was if there's a year to kind of talk about age fallacy for running back, would it not be this year? But like the market, I think will still be more friendly to the younger ones. Is the only reason I will take both of them at the current moment, because I also would love to be able to flip running backs in the offseason. That's kind of my whole goal.
Kenneth Walker, only 24 years old, by the way.
That's true. 24.3. DBro, give me some passing numbers on him, though. I know you said you want to talk about that.
Yeah. So you got 45 running backs last year that had at least 25 targets. Kenneth Walker, 6th in receiving yards. Kenneth Walker, 6th in target per route run rate. Kenneth Walker, 3rd in first downs per route run, behind only David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, right ahead of Devon Achane and other notable passing backs. So if we're still on the entire shtick of Kenneth Walker can't catch passes, somebody's going to have to sit here and tell me what the hell are you watching or what numbers you're looking at, because I ain't seeing it.
They don't actually watch the Seattle games. You know that.
I got one for
He's
you,
top
too.
10 in almost everything that I freaking care about for receiving.
Tell me, Mike, what do you have to add?
Warp per game. Warp per game.
Oh, this is a good one. Let's hear it. Warp.life.
How many running backs better than Kenneth Walker in warp per game?
Is this a standard PPR?
The standard PPR, start 10, Dynasty Superflex League, 12 team.
I'm going to say 5.
Adam?
I'm going to say 7. Just to make it.
Ooh. You guys are splitting the difference here. He was exactly
6?
7. So let's
let's go. Let's go.
Saquon.
Price is right of that shit.
Damn it.
Saquon, Derrick Henry, Bijan, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, Jahmyr Gibbs, then our man Kenneth Walker.
I think part of the conversation. I was going to pull
baby. Promise you.
Let's talk about this, because they have him on KTC. He's down 2 spots of late, and he is 55 overall, which is the RB11 though. Okay, so he's still a top 12, and he's right ahead of Chase Brown, but he's quite a bit away from Bucky Irving, as well as Kyren Williams. So, Mike, you brought up Kyren. I want to talk about Kyren Williams versus Chase Brown, and we can keep the Kenneth Walker train going a little bit here too. But I'm curious where you guys are at on Kyren right now.
I'm out.
Are you out on Kyren?
I am out.
Interesting. This is going to be a fun evening.
Dude,
not that it hasn't been.
All of his tackle breaking metrics last year sucked. It was, he hit a wall, and when I see a running back that looks that bad in tackle breaking metrics, it's notable, dude. I mean, it is very notable. So just to give some context to the numbers,
okay.
I'm looking for Kyren. Hold on, let me find Kyren. Where are you at, Kyren? Let me find him so I can order this stuff. Kyren Williams. So you had 46 running backs last year with at least 100 carries or more.
Okay.
46. Kyren Williams was 44th in explosive run rate. Kyren Williams was 37th in missed tackles forced per attempt. And Kyren Williams is right behind DeAndre Swift at 40th in yards after contact per attempt. Dude lived off of shit tons of volume and touchdowns, and he couldn't break a tackle to save his life last year.
Mike, your thoughts? I mean, this is all of a sudden like the wavelength is just outrageous at the moment. DBro was taking Mike's lines when he's on the opposite side and ahead of him. Now he's on the same side as he's just throwing the guy lobs. This is D Wade and LeBron peak Miami right now. It's insane.
I want to
banging it on, baby.
Dude, this is insane right now.
Karate. I want to go do karate in the garage.
This is exactly what I feel like.
We're best friends.
I'm in the middle, and I'm like, I think they're becoming friends. I got a bad feeling about this.
This is fucking great. Love it.
I didn't know I was going to.
Do you have anything
like the truth on K-Dub? I mean, that was not on our show sheet to my knowledge. But
well, Mike, do you have anything to add? DBro gave a nice little laundry list of reasons to be against Kyren. I don't know if you can you add to that. Can you add to that?
He went out and produced. He did, and it hurt my soul to be so wrong about him. and he still went out and produced. But goddamn, I'm glad DBro's in here because I'm like, I had a little bit of like, man, fuck you, Kyron Williams. Play Blake Corum.
Well, that's the big.
Really, the bigger takeaway
thing.
is you need to invest in Blake Corum because I don't. We could see that backfield shift next year.
Well, that's I guess
shares I have are going to the moon.
My question, or just curious thoughts for both of you, are on this point. If Kyron last year, right, we're looking at his numbers, and I agree, he did not produce as far as his efficiency metrics anywhere near 23. I guess my question is, how concerning should it be if the touches in McVay are still there? Like, is that is that something that we should be expecting to change soon, or is this like still McVay's guy regardless? And also the offensive line, does that play a part in it as well?
I'm going to throw a very, very direct correlation here. Is 2025 Kyron Williams 2024 Rachaad White?
Well, it could be.
I'm asking, and here's the parallels.
Okay.
Everybody loved Rachaad White. Rachaad White lived off of volume. We all said, Rachaad White's not going to lose his volume. There's no way in hell Rachaad White loses his volume. He's the guy. He proved he was the guy. There's no way in hell Tampa Bay is going to feature another guy. And Bucky said, I got your chain. So does Blake Corum do that in 2025?
I mean,
yes.
I don't know. I want to say it's a possibility for sure. Nah, talk to me. Preach, Mike. Will you give the guy a yes? Come on, give him something.
Yes. It's Blake Corum, 2025. Let's go.
Okay.
I'm in, man. Listen, last year with McVay, I preached this, and listen, I was wrong. I was wrong about it. Like, I talked about how everybody said Darrell Henderson was going to be the guy, and then it ended up being Cam Akers, and then Cam Akers was going to be the guy, and then it was fucking insert whoever the fuck else you wanted, and then it was going to be Cam Akers again, like he's going back to Cam Akers, and then it ended up being Kyron Williams, and Cam Akers is fucking shipped off, and I'm like, listen, the trend for McVay has been very finicky on who the fuck his guy is. We don't know who his guy is until you're like, that's his guy, and that's his guy for a year. And then he changes his fucking mind, which I get. Like, I mean, he's got a beautiful wife. Like, I understand. Like, I would be like, the guy's got a certain taste.
Jiminy Christmas, I love it.
The guy's got a certain fucking taste. He's a good-looking dude living in L.A.
He's got Mike's like that. He's got a type here. This is how it makes sense. This is why it makes sense. Type.
Last year, he threw us all for a loop. Not all of us. I mean, there was a lot of Kyron Williams truthers. He threw the Blake Corum truthers for a loop. We're like, this could be the year, right? Like, he's going to switch again, and he didn't. He didn't. God. But what if it's just delayed? What if it's just delayed by a year? What if Blake Corum wasn't fully healthy? What if Blake Corum wasn't fully acclimated to the offense?
Well, he definitely wasn't, because he wasn't inserted. Until
because he didn't fucking play at all. He barely fucking played. Yep. But what if this is the year? What if this is the year? What if he's looking at the advanced analytics that Derek just fucking listed off and going, maybe, just maybe.
What if we get door number 3? What if the Rams add a day 3 running back in this class?
Well,
in this class,
can I give you what I think some of the comments will be? Good. Well, what if they give a day 2 running back? Because that's what they did last year, right?
I mean,
it's not actually my take. But I do. It's kind of like what Mike. I wanted Mike to feel that again. Like, I was trying to speak for the people that don't have a voice with Sam Darnold, but he wants to give me that was my guy. No, but I am curious to see if the market is actually going to take into account any of the metrics changes, because you're not wrong, DBro, at all about a lot of the ways he came through with efficiency. Right? It wasn't like 2 years ago. It was outrageous with his efficiency. You could never probably hold that realistically, right? I mean, the dude averaged 5 yards a carry. I know that's a raw metric, but that's ridiculous for the offensive line he had. I still think he's appropriately a top 12 back, but I'm with you on warning signs and red flags a little bit, especially because he's already a little bit of an outlier in general. Not that some of these other backs aren't, but I'm a little bit shy of the price at RB7 or 8, whatever it is on KTC. Let me ask you then.
He's going 14. He's going in the early 4th round of startups right now. Early fourth round.
I'm passing pretty hard, I think, there, dude.
We just talked about Kenneth Walker. You can get him two rounds later.
I don't think I'm really shooting my shot for most of the running backs in the fourth round anyway this year. There are some guys that I do want, and the reason I wanted to talk about this tier as a whole, is there anyone? Oh, there's James Cook. Let's talk James Cook real quick as well.
Oh, yes, I love me some James Cook.
Let's hear it. Oh, we could have a good one here. James Cook or Chase Brown in this conversation here.
Chase Brown, easy. But I have James Cook at RB11.
I'm going Chase Brown here, but James Cook is really fucking good, and the excuses need to stop with James Cook.
If it wasn't for
he ain't gonna do it. He's too small.
I heard Ray Davis is taking his job too. Mm-hmm.
Man, and I love me some Ray Davis, man. I was happy with the Ray Davis usage, but
if it wasn't for Jahmyr Gibbs,
James Cook,
if it wasn't for Jahmyr Gibbs, this is your like touchdown leader. But I get it. What about JT? Everyone hates JT now.
I don't know why
do they hate JT.
I don't.
Why?
It's like
I don't
everything
know.
we ever wanted.
I do. You see what I'm saying? Everyone that's watching this, do you see what I'm saying about this? I'm worried about this. These guys are on the same. This is awesome right now. There's nothing you can do to separate these two. I don't. The hate maybe was a strong word. Okay, I'll give you that, DBro. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
what
to.
What is KTC at JT?
Well, he's RB8. He's behind Kyron. He's behind all the guys we're talking about for the most part. And I think the big thing is this is a guy that's not 2 years being removed from elite tier. Like 2 years ago, this guy was in the same breath as Bijan, in the same breath as all those other elite players, and he's not currently there. So I guess that's actually my talking point with JT for you guys. Do you view him closer right now to the tier of Gibbs, Bijan, Barkley, Achane type thing, or do you view him closer to, more like Chase Brown, more like Kenneth Walker, Chuba Hubbard, in the range for KTC? I know your ranks are different, DBro and Mike, than that, but do you view him closer to the second group of players I mentioned, or the first?
He's a second-tier running back, but he definitely belongs at the near top of that second tier. Like
I'm with you. I agree.
I don't think he's a tier 1 running back anymore, just because the pass catching with Anthony Richardson in this offense it's not going to be there, right? Like that floor is not going to be there.
But that's partly what I wanted to talk about with JT. Similar to when we kind of knew, and let me say this, the Colts knew that we need to go a little more run heavy. JT was a league winner this year all of a sudden again, and he had a very strong finish. Do you think that JT kind of can do more of that be production-wise closer to the old elite guy, or are you not really there with JT for the full season?
What he really feels like is kind of like that mid-career Saquon Barkley at this point.
Please don't say it. People are going to go crazy. Mid-career Saquon Barkley is the only kind of Saquon you want?
I'm just saying, like came out and fucking smashed very early, and we went, holy shit, this is the best running back we've ever seen, right? Oh my God. Jonathan Taylor was kind of in that breath. And then these last couple years is like the last few years with Saquon Barkley and the Giants, like, oh, can he stay healthy? And does he still have it anymore? Can he actually do it? All I'm saying is Jonathan Taylor's still young enough, and he's still fucking talented, that if you're getting him in this RB 8 to 12 range, depending on like where people are valuing him, like I still want to be on a fucking Jonathan Taylor, because all of a sudden you see the situation change, or you see the quarterback change, you see the offense change, whatever it is. Maybe he changes fucking teams. Maybe he gets traded. Who the fuck knows what happens with him? Jonathan Taylor, I would imagine the next 3 years is going to have one of those seasons where you're like, oh yeah, I remember who the fuck this guy is, right? Like Jonathan Taylor's reminding you that he's 230 pounds and he runs a 4.3. And he's fucking dynamic, right? Like we think that all of a sudden he's just going to fall off the fucking table. Like he is one of the most talented running backs that we've ever seen come out. And he did it for years at Wisconsin in a run-heavy scheme and carried the load. Now, all those things are going to come into play where people go, oh, he's got too much workload on him, or he's too banged up, or, the mileage is way too high on him. All the shit that we said about Saquon Barkley for fucking years. And then all of a sudden this year, it's like, oh yeah, Saquon Barkley is one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the entire NFL.
Yeah, he's the best.
Jonathan Taylor's kind of following that fucking career arc right now. It just feels like we're in that lull where it's like, this is Daniel Jones and the Giants, and Saquon's like the entire offense and the only thing that keeps us afloat. It's just not sexy because everything else around him is shit. What if the situation upgrades all of a sudden and it's like instead of being a 1,500-yard double-digit touchdown guy, he's 2,000 yards and 20 touchdown type guy. So this shit can change in an instant, and I think Jonathan Taylor still has that talent. I just say right now with the way people value him, kind of being in somewhere in that like 6 to 12 range, wherever the fuck you want to rank him. If you gotta go through it, it's fine. I still value Jonathan Taylor a little bit higher. I just say he's not quite in tier 1 because he doesn't carry that sex appeal anymore.
I agree with a lot of it, and I'll give you the best correlation that I can to Jonathan Taylor versus his value and the kind of how I look at him. I feel like he's undervalued, and Jonathan Taylor right now feels like 2021 Nick Chubb. You know what you're going to get.
Ooh.
Ain't nobody just like falling over themselves to get him. He's going to give you 12 to 1,500 rushing yards. He's going to sniff 9 to 13 touchdowns. He's probably not going to catch a lot of passes. And ain't nobody sitting here, falling over themselves to get him. But he's still going to be a dude.
Still going to be a dude. I do like that. I think to the point, a lot of these guys are valued in the same ranges. I was curious to get takes from both you guys on the running backs. And going into this year, I think the running back is going to change, to Mike's point about the startups, where you're seeing, how many running backs came off the board in those first 4 rounds, Mike, I guess will be the final thing. And then got a couple of questions before we go ahead and get to some questions. Let's go.
You got 8 running backs in the first 4 rounds right now of Dynasty startups.
That was like, there's
Superflex?
no way that Superflex, yeah.
Yeah, Superflex leagues. I don't listen. No offense to anybody who plays in 1 QB. I know it's the OG and whatever the fuck it is. Listen, I don't do it, and I don't fucking look at content. I don't make content around 1 QB leagues. I will answer your goddamn questions begrudgingly, but I really don't give a fuck about 1 QB leagues. Eight running backs in Superflex leagues, 12-team leagues that are going
in the first 4 rounds.
First 4 rounds of Dynasty startups right now.
I'm close to that. Close-ish. I've got my cutoff right now, I think, is James Cook at RB. I got 11.
All 12 RB1s go in the first 5 rounds. So by the end of the 5th round, Chase Brown's coming off the board. He's RB12 right now.
I love this.
God, that's so dismissive. Like, why is he RB12? It makes me want to go trade for Chase Brown everywhere.
Dude, people still taking Christian McCaffrey above him. So let that one.
Are you,
sink in.
dude? Come on. What the
I'm
hell?
dead ass. And
Don't get the people this riled up, Mike. Don't. Damn it.
CMC going above Chase Brown. What?
There's
What are we doing here?
there's just no.
I don't even have words for that
I actually
shit.
pray for those people. And what I pray
I
is that
don't
there's
even
more
have
of them in
words
my
for that.
leagues at some point. I really do.
Chase Brown RB6 in my ranks. CMC RB16. That shit ain't even close. Like that's asinine.
It's pretty fucking insane, man.
Will you?
I
don't get out much anymore, guys. Will you introduce me to some of these people, please? I would love to play in some leagues with them.
Get me in
honestly.
these leagues, bro. Like
Seriously.
Woo!
And the Kenneth Walker hate and the Zach Charbonnet love is pretty apparent.
I'm
Kenneth
so
Walker
excited
in
to
the
get to
6th
the
round,
post.
Zach Charbonnet in the 10th.
I feel like everyone's a little scared in the live to get comments on it. I'm so excited for post comments though on YouTube about the Kenneth Walker. It'll be it, and then to follow that up with Kyron. Like, there's definitely some double-edged swords with that one there. But hey, here's what I want to know for you guys. One, Mike, I mean, are you guys having fun? I'm having a fucking blast.
I'm having a fucking blast, man.
I just
realized I had 1 Swedish Zin in this whole time, and I needed to reload. Like, that nicotine ran out a long time.
No wonder he was not spicy.
Right now.
He normally has a whole horseshoe in. No wonder he's not spicy takes.
For all the 2,086 people watching this, man, I go hard. I go big can, from Sweden. I had to get it in before.
What is that? A freaking bucket?
Yeah.
God,
Mike had to get that shipped over in a
really
container.
Hard to pack. It's really hard to pack.
Mike, here's the thing I need to know, okay? And here's the only thing I'm kind of curious. Are you going to upgrade the office with that? Will you get a spittoon so you don't even have to leave your chair? You can just spit the Zins out?
Dude, that is an actual great ask question. And I think we should get it for the kid.
To be fair, I got a trash can over here, and I like to treat it like basketball.
You need a spittoon, a Zin spittoon, where you could just go, and
Dude,
on the show, it goes, bing!
You guys don't understand how fucking in depth these Swedes are when it comes to their cans, right? Look at this secret compartment storage for all your discarded sins.
My lord!
And by the way, they send you one little tiny can. It's empty. That way, in case you need a traveler for the road, you can't fit this in your pocket.
A little roadie. I love that. Okay.
The Swedes, man, they take their nicotine pouches super serious. They don't fuck around.
Mike, I'm gonna have to order you a spittoon. I'm googling spittoons right now. Like, can you get this engraved?
Damn. I was gonna.
I'm going
DBro,
down a
I'll give you
rabbit
the
hole
honors.
of spittoons now. I didn't know this was gonna happen tonight, but I'm here for it.
But I'm excited for it. I'm excited, Mike, to hear a little bit of your rant here in a second, and I'm also wanting to get a little bit, at least minimum, a little bit. I say a little bit. He puts the thing right in the fucking. Look at that thing. Mike, have you ever seen something so big in your life?
I just wanted to emphasize that it is actually from Sweden. Like, does anybody speak that language? I don't even know what the fuck. I got nicotine with a K. But like, you know what I mean?
I feel like we might need to pivot. I don't know. We need to let Mike go on a rant right now. This is scary.
And he just
awesome.
put his in, so it's gonna even get better. So
all right, let's all get on the same page about one player. Derek is just getting back, for those that don't know, from the Senior Bowl. He was there last week, and a lot of stuff to discuss with the 25 class as a whole. I was curious if you were going to talk about him at all, but you already told me beforehand, and Mike shared a little bit of his love. Let's talk Elijah Arroyo.
Ooh.
Let's talk about him.
I mean, he crushed, bro. He was one of the big winners. If anybody,
I have him in every C2C I'm playing, which is not that many, but I have him in all of them.
I mean, he's got to be in. If he ain't in the first sentence you're talking about Senior Bowl, then he needs to be in the second sentence because he crushed, man. He just looked like a different dude out there. He was pulling away from linebackers, pulling away from defenders, winning damn near every route that like out there, all of his one-on-ones. I think he's going to be a top 40 to 50 player in the NFL draft. I don't think that's insane.
Do you really? That would be huge for his stock.
He is. He's going in. I'll stamp that shit. He's going in the second round of the NFL draft. That's going to happen. The question is how high. He's going to go there because he tested like a damn beast. He looked freaking amazing. He has the athletics to back up. He went to a big school, so we're not talking about Harold Fannin Jr. getting hype or anything like that. Going to the U. He's got the helmet. He's got the athleticism. He's got the size. He's got the pedigree, and he just blew it up in freaking Mobile. So
was he as athletic imposing as athletically imposing as you expected, or more so?
His damn thighs are like tree trunks. Like he's built.
You know what's crazy? He reminded me so much, and it's funny because the people will try to act like this. I don't think that they should, but they might try to act like I'm helmet scouting. I'm not. But he reminded me when I looked at some pictures of him, honestly, and seen him playing in games of like David Njoku with the frame, and it's just he puts the shirt under his damn pads, and he's just like, bro, this is a creature. This is a creature, not a. This guy is athletic. I'm very interested to see what he does at the testing numbers because I think if he crushes the combine, he will. To your point, I think he will definitely solidify early.
He's going to run probably a high 4.5, maybe. I think he can run a high 4.5 if he trains for it.
I was going to say if he cracks if he's sub 4.6, I think he'll stamp that because he's 6'4". He's just cut of steel too.
I'm telling you, he's gonna run. He's gonna run. If it's not a 4.5, it's like 4.6 flat. Like he's gonna be low because he was moving, dude, moving.
I love it, Mike. I know you love Elijah Arroyo. You can tell us or not. What do you want?
Yeah, I've loved him for years. Shout out to the Campus to Canton guys. Right when we first started getting into C2C leagues back, he was ranked pretty highly on the tight end ranks, and I was like, oh, Miami tight end. Like all of a sudden, I get it in there, and then you start reading about how athletic he is and how well he moves. Here was the biggest problem. Like I drafted Elijah Arroyo, and then you never got any production for years. Like you're like, I can't cut this fucking guy though. Like I just can't fucking cut him. Like the upside is so tantalizing. This last year, as soon as they got Cam Ward, that offense opened up a little bit. You started to see some of the production come. Yeah, he started to become an actual real asset in C2C leagues, and then to see him go to the Senior Bowl and hear Derek talk about how the guy actually just fucking showed out and actually produced, and you're like, this is what I wanted. This is what I fucking wanted 3 years ago, Elijah. Why couldn't you do this sooner? Like, why couldn't you? But it might actually be for the best, Adam, because we are degenerates. Derek, I don't know if you do any of these, but Adam and I are part of a metric fuck ton of pre-NFL rookie drafts in Dynasty. So I'm telling you that Elijah Arroyo, before he actually gets this, if he does, gets round 2, round 3 draft capital, like you're predicting, before he does it, Adam and I are going to have about 7 million fucking shares of Elijah Arroyo in the 4th round of our rookie drafts. Just going, done. Done. Next. This is going to be my Tucker Craft. This is going to be my fucking Tucker Craft.
And he's my main, like, this is the reason that I fade tight ends is because a guy like this exists, right?
Yep.
I want to point out, too, like, I've seen tight ends go to the Senior Bowl and show out and be the talk of the town. But the last one that I saw where everybody was talking him up, kind of like this, had absolutely fucking zero production in the goddamn Pac-12 where he was clearly the best player on the fucking offense and they still wouldn't throw him the ball. Elijah Arroyo does not have this problem if you go and you just look at what he did last year. He was a big part of the fucking offense. He is not Luke Musgrave, just all of a sudden a Senior Bowl standout because he's an athletic freak. Luke Musgrave,
I would like to also point out I was not in on Luke Musgrave. I was not in on Luke Musgrave. I was never in on Luke Musgrave. People can go check my receipts. As soon as Green Bay drafted both of those guys, I legitimately said, and it is out there on X, you can go search it. I said, this is the same shit that Baltimore did. Luke Musgrave will be Hayden Hurst, and Tucker Kraft will be Mark Andrews. I said it when they drafted him.
Fucking genius.
I feel like it sounds like I'm listening to an early 4D episode. Damn it, I love what I'm hearing. This is awesome.
Dude, well, and just to note this, Elijah Arroyo in high school ran a 4.69. You're telling me that dude isn't faster now?
Nah, we're going 4.5. Give me a low 4.5, and we really go to crazy town. You know, let's go
4.52. There we go. 4.52. It's book it. Lock it.
I love
in.
this.
He's running 4.5. He is.
All right. And for any of you betting people out there, the fucking 40 lines are so fucking stupid.
Prize picks, baby.
Every year, if you guys want to pay your mortgage for a month, as soon as those 40 lines come out, like, they're so fucking stupid on both ends of the spectrum. They'll have guys out there with like a 4.4 time that run a 4.7. Right? You just hate me over. There ain't no fucking way in the world. Even if this guy had a 40-mile-an-hour wind at his back, he's running a 4.4. Elijah Arroyo kind of feels like if they put his 40 prop out there, it'll probably be like 4.67 or some shit like that. You're like,
it's gonna under. I would say it's gonna open in the high 4.6s. That's exactly where I'm with you, Mike.
Fucking Lord.
I just wanted to note that Mike loves Iowa State, and talk about Jaden Higgins. So.
We going to talk about both the Iowa State boys.
I was just getting warmed up. Now we're going to get crazy. I love this. Mike, you're going to be here I got you for 5 minutes. 5 minutes of playtime.
Good.
What do you think? Jaden Higgins is a name that I'm curious to hear you talk about. I heard and read a little bit, but I want to know DBro. I want to know DBro 101, everything I need to on Jaden Higgins from the Senior Bowl and just in general.
Okay, and then can we back that up with the guy that should be leading the conversation with Jalen Knoll?
You know what? Sure. You know what? And you're right. I'm out of order. I'm all messed up. I mean, I got graphics. I'm out of order.
Who do you want me to lead off with? Because I feel like the guy we really should be leading off with is Jalen Knoll, but I can talk Higgins first. But
please, by all means, DBro asks, DBro gets. You know, that's how it works.
Jalen Knoll had the best wide receiver week of anybody in Mobile. I'm going to lead it off with that.
Okay, now to clarify, that's in 25 because I know you've been in years past and he's not. Was it as good as my question to you? Would it compare to some other like notable names in the past at the Senior Bowl? How do you think he really stacks up as when we can translate into fantasy? I think that's the biggest combo everybody wants to know here.
I think I'll lay this out. Jalen Knoll walking into Mobile, I was very high on his game. People can go check. Jaden Higgins was not one of the guys we talked about. I really like his game. We'll get to him in a second. He was not on the preview episode for the NFL Draft Show for Fantasy Pros. Jalen Knoll was. And I was very high on his game entering Mobile, and he did nothing to push me off of it. If anything, he confirmed all of my priors in the sense that he played on the outside. He played on the inside. He was a slot player at Iowa State. That dude will probably be at least a 50 to 60% slot player in the NFL, but he can win outside. I stand firmly on business. I comped him before Mobile to Khalil Shakir, who had a very, very solid Mobile. When he was there, Jalen Noel was better. You look at, and I will also preface this by Iowa State. I'm sorry, but the quarterback there is not great. Jalen Noel produced despite Rocco Becht. I think that I have a second round grade on Jalen Noel. I'm going to throw that out there. I don't know if he goes in the second round.
Interesting.
But he has the talent to go in the second round. He won every single way that you could possibly imagine in one-on-ones and in Mobile, like in 7-on-7, 11-on-11, one-on-ones. He won deep, he won short, he won versus man press, he won versus people playing off of him. He was fucking awesome.
I'll be honest. I knew you were going to talk about him and talk him up. I wasn't sure how much. The second round thing, the way you're making me a lot more interested than I thought I was going to be honest.
He was really, really stinking good. Like,
damn,
you're talking about a guy that he was awesome at the catch point. There's a few clips out there from Mobile of him showing his body control on the perimeter. Again, I didn't see him lose a damn one-on-one, man. Like, so they tried to press him at the line, he got off. They tried to play off of him, he beat him. Like, you go pull up his film, it's not just all these little things, but again, we're talking about guys that I'll probably be betting the under on his 40 time. He's probably going to get some kind of like 4-5 line because he's a slot wide receiver and shit like that. He's got low 4.4 speed, and it's all over his freaking film. There's enough times where you could see him in the open field, or you could see him on when they split him out or they ran him deep. He is running away from corners.
Damn. Okay, this is getting juicy. Mike hasn't said much in a while. I know y'all saw the Zins and they're gonna say it's that, but it's Iowa State love is crazy. Mike, what do you got?
He was a pain in my fucking ass as a Hawkeye fan for years. A pain in my ass. Now, the only thing that put me off to him a little bit is I'm kind of a size snob when it comes to wide receivers. No. I really am. Well, it puts you in a bucket, especially if you're under 5'10", which he was. I mean, he was close to 5'10". He was close to 5'10", but he's under 5'10". Now, the one thing I can say, we talked about this last week. He's a girthy boy. He's girthy, all right?
He's built, bro.
He's not fucking Tez Johnson, which Tez Johnson, no matter what he did out there, is like, God damn, like, you can't be 156 fucking pounds, bro. Like, you just, all of a sudden, I just don't really give a shit. But Jalen Noel's a girthy boy. He's damn near 200 fucking pounds. And he's out there and he's moving like that in kind of a compact frame. So I will say with Jalen Noel, especially after watching him tear my Hawkeyes and fucking asshole a few times, I'm interested, especially when DBro's out here fucking hyping him up, right? And as much as it pains me to like be in on Cyclones, I will still be in on them. You know, like Breece Hall, that's that dude, all right? I don't give a shit that he went to Iowa State. It's just Brock Purdy. He fucking sucks. I fucking hate him. He's terrible. But Jalen Noel is kind of interesting. I think he's close enough to 5'10". It's just the 5'9" thing just kind of like, damn, man, if I look back past the, like last 4 years, whatever, if you're 5'9", there's a couple hits in there. There's a couple like, yep, that dude did it, right? Like Jalen Waddle was just under 5'10", but a hit by all accounts, right? Because of his dynamic athleticism. I hope Jalen Noel does that, and if he does and it becomes a value and people kind of forget about him and write him off because of the size, I'll be in on him because of just the simple fact the dude's a fucking producer. And even though he's 5'9" and 6 quarters or whatever the fuck you want, it's not 6 quarters. I'm dumb.
We're gonna get to him, Mitchell. Don't worry. I got you. I promise. Okay?
But just because he's almost 5'10", if that's why people write him off, I think the NFL, if somebody's going to draft him in the second round, early third round at worst, they'll figure out a way to use him effectively, and mix him into the slot and then also be able to use him on the outside. It's one of those things where it's a catch-22, right? Like Ted McMillan has all the size in the world, and I've been actively just dunking on him because the fucking guy cannot win on the outside. I don't give a shit that he's 6'5" and 215 or whatever the fuck it is. He cannot beat fucking corners on the outside. Like, he has to be lined up against linebackers and slot receivers, and it doesn't matter what his fucking height is. He just can't do it. Apparently, from what Derek's saying, it doesn't matter where the fuck Jalen Noel's lined up at. He just goes out and he wins. He doesn't give a shit that it has to be on a linebacker or a fucking slot corner. He'll go face number one corners. He'll go face guys on the outside and just beat their ass. So I want to be a size snob, but I also have to acknowledge the fact that maybe this guy's just fucking good. Maybe he's just fucking good.
I'm not comping him to this guy.
Uh-oh.
If you were to tell me we flipped over the cards in 3 years and Jalen Noel had a very similar career arc to Amon-Ra St. Brown, I would not be surprised at all.
I knew where you were going.
Dude,
despite
I'm not
that,
hot
I was
taking,
like, all
I'm
right,
just telling
say
you,
anything
like,
else. Say anything else.
This dude was freaking awesome.
I'm going to let everyone that's watching this know, DBro came after the, Puka Nakua Bowl, I call it now, and was telling us how much we need to invest in him. And I'll be honest with you, I was intrigued because it was, cost was cheap. But I wasn't sitting here like saying, man, I'm expecting Puka to be anywhere near as great as he's become. And DBro was the one person that was really, really pounding the table early for Puka. And him saying this, not only does he have a track record, but damn, Mike, I don't have many Zins in, but I feel like I do. I'm getting really fucking buzzed up and fired up right now.
Nobody's high on this wide receiver class, and I like Noel, and I really like Jaden Higgins. If Jaden Higgins falls into a really good spot,
well, let's talk about Jaden Higgins. I'm going to do a little bit of a selfless plug and just say, anyone that's watching this, you should check out our YouTube channel. This is basically all we do all the time over there. So,
Jalen Noel against Iowa this past year, the upset win against Iowa too. Oh. By all accounts, we've been their daddy for a very, very long time. All right, we've given them spanking after spanking. They beat us.
Man, it's really hurting you to see all these Cyclones on the screen right now, isn't it, Mike?
Just because Cade McNamara is so fucking ass. Like, he's so fucking bad. You want to talk about Rocco Beck being bad? We had
Rocco Beck ain't no better, bro.
Sorry, dude, Rocco Beck is. I would have fucking killed for Rocco Beck to be the quarterback of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Jalen Noel.
Rocco Beck reminded me when I watched Jalen Noel and I watched Jaden Higgins film. I felt like I was watching Tanner freaking Morgan again. That's how I felt.
No.
Noel went.
Amon-Ra St. Brown and him shouldn't be mentioned that closely from each other, like time wise. That's just bad.
Noel
I love that.
He went 5 for 133 in a touchdown against Iowa's defense, and his teammate
and he did that at 5'9", Mike. Just so you know.
Yeah, he did. And Jaden Higgins went 8 for 68 in a touchdown. So their entire offense. Abu Sama did absolutely fucking nothing. We shut down their run game. Didn't matter. Couldn't cover these fucking guys. With our zone, with our fucking zone, we don't even play man, right? We weren't even matched up on man. We're playing fucking cover 3 and cover 2 the entire game, and these guys are fucking killing us, pissing me off.
Talk to me about Jaden Higgins a little bit separate, and then we had a question, or not really a question. We're gonna get to him. I promise. As long, DBro, if you have to leave at any point, I know we're
going to talk about Jack Bash. We're going to talk about Jack Bash. I got to talk about Jack Bash.
Good. Okay, Mike.
So
I'm not going to ask you if you need to leave. You can stay. Okay.
Thanks,
dude. Jaden Higgins, if he goes to a spot where they allow him to, or they put him into a role, like I need this in my life. Send Jaden Higgins to Denver and let him be Michael Thomas 2.0, and all will be right with the world. Jaden Higgins is a baller. Like, I love Jaden Higgins.
I love this.
So I think Jaden Higgins can play traditional X. I'll start this out with I just talked about MT. I'm going to toss a little bit of cold water on Higgins, only from the aspect of the only question that I have about his game is, can he win on the perimeter and can he stretch the field? I didn't get those answers in Senior Bowl because the limited one-on-ones we saw, like have him run goes and things like that, I think it depends on how you're going to deploy him downfield. Right now, based off of the film and based off of Mobile, if you're going to get him deep, you're not running him on goes. You're running him on deep overs. Allow him to like have build up speed and stuff, and use his size. So it's deep overs, it's posts, it's things like that where he can get inside leverage.
Right.
That way, yes, he can get deep. But if you were to put Jaden Higgins into a slant god role, he would be crushing dudes from day one. Because
I'm glad you talked about that.
His role in the NFL is going to matter a bunch, like out the gate. If he gets into some role like that, where they use him as a possession receiver, they use him as a big slot receiver, he's going to be freaking awesome, dude, because he wins consistently in those routes, in that role. That's what he crushed at in Iowa State. He has a strong set of hands. He's got underrated, and the thing that stood out about Higgins as well, as big as he is, he's not like one of those dudes where you're like, oh, he's 6'3".
Yeah, he's 6'3", 220-ish, honestly. He's big.
Well, so he actually weighed in. It was in the 2 teens in Mobile. It was like 215, 214. That dude was rocked up, man. Like really? he came in looking leaner than I thought he was going to. Every time they asked him to run a slant, an out, he won every damn rep. And for me, at the size that he is, and this is just overall, if you are that size and your big ass can run a whip route and look crisp doing it, shit. Okay, you just told me everything I need to know about your short area agility.
Right.
And he did it in Mobile.
Did he? Okay.
So, yeah, he did. There's clips. I have a clip out there. People go search his name on X. That's my thing about Higgins. Where he goes, I think, could be very dependent. Like I think he probably goes anywhere from the 3rd or 4th round of the NFL draft, and that's maybe he drops to the 5th. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he could be. He could be a day 3 guy. He might get day 2 if things go well.
I think he's probably a day 3 guy. Probably goes in round 4. I would love it if he snuck into round 3, but to be honest, I don't really give a shit so much about where he goes in the NFL draft as I do his landing spot and the role that he's going to be asked to play.
That's what I'm hearing from you, and that's what I think a lot of times doesn't get talked about enough. Where with this player, and I'm curious what you have to say here on this, Mike. But with him, for me, like that's an interesting part for the process because if he gets a boost from combine or whatever, obviously if he was drafted day 2 versus day 3, it's a big difference in probably where his draft stock will go for Dynasty. But I'm probably in pre-drafts a little bit hesitant still, given like there's going to be a lot of things about what I know of Jaden Higgins in that point that I don't know pre-NFL draft. So it's really going to come down to, is he basically free? And if he's not, I'm probably just good for pre-NFL drafts, right? In the Dynasty, if it's post-NFL draft and I know that I feel good about the landing spot and they're talking about using him in the slot, different combo for me.
Pre-NFL draft, I promise he's going to go late 3rd or probably the 4th in rookie drafts.
Yeah.
Like that. He is.
And I was just going to say, if pre-NFL rookie drafts right now, with what I know about Jaden Higgins, like I'm literally just looking at X, just reliving the fucking nightmare of him abusing Deshaun Lee at fucking cornerback, running whip routes and out routes, and then also just hitting him on a fade where he just too smalled him. Like, get the fuck out of here. This is my ball.
His analytics are freaking awesome too. Like he's legitimately been over the last 2 years 27th and 16th in yards per route run, top 20 in both season and in receiving grade too. So it's not just the film; the analytics back the shit up too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I'm pretty comfortably taking him in the 3rd round of every single one of our pre-NFL rookie drafts. Like that, just if I miss and he's a fucking 5th, 6th round pick in the NFL, oh well. If I fucking hit and he's a 3rd round selection, or if heaven forbid he goes top 50, free money, free fucking money.
For him to go that high, I think. Let me ask you this, DBro. What do you think he would run? Like, I feel like he's going to have to get that type of draft stock.
I think he's going to run in the 4.5s.
Okay,
but I think. But so hold up. Let me back this up a little bit. Unless you're running a freaking mid 4.6 or higher in wide receivers, I honestly don't give a shit.
And if you run what's funny is I was going to talk about the cheat. This is like the discount, same combo as Keon, who ended up running the mid 6s, right? Like, are we going to use him in the big slot or outside? And I think
I was told Puka was too damn slow too when he tested.
Don't do that. Don't give him another taste of high end.
But hold up. Let's zoom out here.
Sure.
How many times have we done that shit? Adam Thielen isn't fast. DeAndre Hopkins isn't a burner. Cooper Kupp isn't a burner. Puka Nacua isn't a burner. Keenan Allen is too goddamn slow. Like, at what point does everybody finally wake up and realize, like, okay, cool, if you're fast, that's great. Cool. We already probably knew you were fast based off your film. So most people are double counting that shit way, way too much. And
Agreed.
they're using 4.5s or middling 40s to sit here and knock dudes down that they don't like, when really in the reality of it is that shit don't matter either. As long as you're hitting the benchmark, you don't have to be a burner to win at wide receiver, because guess what? It ain't all about how fast you freaking run. It is, can you get open and can you separate in your routes? If you can do that, I don't give a flying fuck if you run in the 4.5s versus a 4.3. I don't care.
I was going to say that's probably the only way his draft, but to me, I'm not moving the needle much unless, like you said, he's like actually slow. There's like serious problems in checking boxes. It's not going to move it much for me, but it might change his draft capital and where he goes in Dynasty. So, any further thoughts though? Keep going, DBro. If you got more, Mike, if you had anything as well on Jaden.
I'll kick it over to Mike. I mean, I love Jaden, dude. Like, put him in Denver, put him in Tampa Bay as the Chris Godwin replacement, put him in Tennessee, put him in a lot of different places where he can play inside, outside. I'm in for it, man. Totally in.
Okay.
So this just continues my proverbial nightmare. This goes back to the Christian McCaffrey days. I'm going to watch the draft stream. You know, we're going to be doing it live here on South Harmon. I'll be watching it. And inevitably when Jaden Higgins gets drafted, wherever the fuck that is, the clips that they put up on NFL Network or ESPN are going to be a lot of shit versus Iowa. Kind of similar to how they showed the fucking Christian McCaffrey clips all the time of just fucking running past linebackers.
Dunking on Mike the whole broadcast.
Yes. This shit happens to me all the fucking time, man. Saquon Barkley did this shit. They showed like every goddamn clip was him just fucking abusing Iowa. It just pissed me off to no end. It's going to happen again with Jaden Higgins, because if you just go search Twitter and you start looking up some Jaden Higgins highlight clips, it's him abusing the living fuck out of Sean Lee. It's just... that poor man. Poor man.
I've heard everything I need to hear from Mike for that segment, so I'm satisfied. Mitchell, here you go. Here's the man
Check
that
back.
you asked for. Come on, talk to me. This is where I need DBro to tell me, like, is this a period in time right now where his name is relevant and it won't continue to be, or should we really be paying attention? Give me the DBro reel.
I think we should be paying attention. Now, I will say this. I think Besh is a guy that's going to come out and he's not going to test amazing. I think that people are, again, people are going to use that to slander. When really, if you look at all the different parts and pieces of Jack Besh's career, before I even get into what he did in Mobile, like, we're talking about a guy that went to LSU, played tight end, transferred to TCU, played slot, played perimeter last year. He's played a lot of different spots. If you were to tell me, again, we're talking about team fits here, Jack Besh goes into a situation where he's playing power slot or he's playing 50-50, I'm totally in, dude. Because the thing about Jack Besh, and I walked away from Mobile higher on Jack Besh than I was, and I wasn't low on him entering Senior Bowl, but I had a lot of questions about him, like, does he have the release package? Can he beat man press? I think he can get open versus zone. He played a lot of slot. I think it's probably where he's going to probably live in the NFL, but I think he can win from the outside because he proved it in Mobile, dude. Like, and it wasn't just that he didn't win. It wasn't like, okay, I'm beating guys off the line. I'm beating you with speed releases. He won in a variety of ways in Mobile that really displayed his skill set. Like, he got open on in breakers, he got open on out routes, he got open on the perimeter when they asked him to stretch the field and the catch point was muddy. He was a dude, and like I mean, there is a clip out there, one of probably Jalen Milroe's one of the few one of the few good throws that he had of the week. Jalen Milroe hit Jack Besh on the perimeter and he stretched the field. So like, I look at Jack Besh and I love a lot of parts of his game, dude. And it goes down to not only did he show out in Mobile, but I think he's a very versatile player. And again, like, this really doesn't come out like as far as analytics and stuff like that. That dude's a damn dog. Like, he's giving you 150% every single freaking snap. He can block. He's going to sit here and give you everything he has. And I think a lot of parts of his game, depending on the role that he's asked, kind of like Jaden Higgins, I think you're going to be able to get Jack Bech in probably the round 4 of most of your dynasty rookie drafts. Because even if he goes, I don't think he's going to get drafted in round 3 of the NFL draft. Like, I think the sweet spot or the hope is that you're hoping he goes early day 3 and round 4. That's where, because again, I don't think that he's going to test fantastic. I think he's going to test good enough to where he hits the benchmarks for, okay, I don't care. It doesn't matter what you ran to me. And I don't even care if he doesn't test, because I saw enough in Mobile that I'm like, you're fast enough. You know how to get open, and you can win in a variety of ways and play a variety of roles in the NFL. So I question what his ceiling is as far as for fantasy. But could I see a fever dream scenario where he lands in the perfect spot? He goes into a power slot role. We're talking about him at this time next year, and we're like, bro, like he crushed down the stretch. I wouldn't be surprised about it.
Damn. Okay. Man, I'm listen, if you got nothing else, you've got some serious number of sleepers right now where, to your point, like I don't think if he goes if everything that we know about him, there's a comment right here. I'll put it on the screen, right? David says, I can't get behind. There's what his stats, like what his actual production is. He's probably not going to be drafted till day 3. There's a lot of things that I think are going to be not appealing for dynasty gamers. This guy's going to be someone you can have pretty cheap.
Down
man.
with a
Pretty
one-season
cheap.
wonder. Didn't we all say that about Brian Thomas Jr.? Where's that one-season wonder at?
Well,
now?
He's higher than I would have expected.
And this is not me. I'm not trying to dunk on David here, but like for me,
no, you're good. Yeah, I think I'm putting it on to talk about it. Go ahead.
The analytics in the film tell all, dude. So it's like, I don't care if you have 1 year of production. Like, we need to get past that kind of stuff. If you can play and the player you are today, because people said the same shit about Jaden Daniels last year. And I'm like, dude, just go watch his film, man. Like, it tells you what you need to know. Like, there are guys that, yes, because they only had 1 year of production, they fit that 1 year wonder type of narrative. But to me, there's a difference between, like, because now with NIL and guys transferring and all this other kind of stuff, these breakout age and all these prospect models, that shit is shifting. It's changing.
Yeah, correct.
And so like we need to understand too, like, changing process. Like, I mean, there are a lot of different factors when it comes into looking at these guys. And to me, looking at the analytics and watching their film and looking at their skill sets matter more to me than just saying, oh, he only produced for 1 year. Oh, he only produced for one season. We didn't even talk about freaking Jalen Royals. I mean, same thing. Like, small school guy only produced for half a season. People are going to say, oh, he's not very good. Dude, Jalen Royals. There are so many wide receivers dependent upon landing spots in this class from Mobile and Senior Bowl. I would just want to be gobbling up 3rd-round rookie picks so I can draft all these damn dudes. Because they can play.
I get you, man. So
I love
here's
this.
The thing
I love this. Jalen Royals.
Here's the thing on Jack Bech, and I did see.
Okay, let me pull him back up. Sorry. Yep.
The one year wonders.
We got him.
Do you want to know his freshman year at LSU? Mm-hmm. He had more catches than Brian Thomas.
Interesting.
Don't do that to them. Don't
while he was catches.
That's crazy.
He was playing tight end.
At tight end. There you go. Right.
He had more catches than the anointed one, Keyshawn Boutte. He had more catches than, some people's darling, Trey Palmer, up until last year when Jalen McMillan took over. Here's the thing on Jack Bech. I had no idea who the fuck this dude was. Right until the Senior Bowl, I had no idea who the fuck he was. I didn't care. And then the Senior Bowl stuff comes out, and I go, oh, man, I got to watch a little Jack Bech. Here's the thing I love about him. I love those fucking wide receivers, and DBro, you hit on it 2 years ago. I love those wide receivers who are just extremely physical. They get the ball in their hand, and they say, fuck you, I'm running you over, I'm stiff-arming your ass, I'm going to juke you out, and then I'm going to dive for the pylon. And you guys can all lick my balls. I'm just better than you, and I want it more, right? Like, I love those kind of guys. And this goes back. A lot of people are going to comp him to Puka. Puka has a lot of that in his game, and I kind of understand where that's coming from.
There's a lot of differences there, but yes, I think people are going to say that too.
There's a lot of differences there. I'll give you two comps, like just from my limited watching of Jack Bech that come to mind. And I'll give you one that's a little bit more recent. It's Adam Thielen. Like he feels like he has a lot of Adam Thielen to his game.
I could see it.
I understand that kind of power
see it.
slot role that, sneakily athletic, just fucking gets open, wants it more than the rest of the people. The one I really like, and this is going a little bit old school for you old fucks, but I have a lot of gray in my beard. Anquan Boldin.
Ooh.
He's got that Anquan Boldin dog to his fucking game.
Damn it.
And I love that shit. Like, you want to ask me, like, who's my top 10 list of, like, favorite receivers? I'm not saying best of all time, but Anquan Boldin's going to be damn near to the top just because he wanted it more than everybody else. It didn't matter what position they asked him to play at Florida State. Come out, Anquan, play fucking quarterback. Jack Bech is kind of the similar fucking role. Like, we know you're only 6'1", 6'2", but we need you to play a little tight end, boy. Can you do it for us? Fuck yeah, I got this. Like, I just want to get on the field. Like, I'm just happy to be playing football. He's got that Anquan Boldin vibe to him, and the way he kind of plays the game of football as soon as he gets the ball in his hand is Anquan Boldin-esque, where it's like, yeah, fuck you, stiff arm to you, I'm going to truck you. Oh, nickel corner, don't even try. Don't even try. You don't want none of this. So Jack Bech kind of reminds me of Anquan Boldin. So listen, I can get down with this, and DBro, you're right. Nobody's going to really give a shit in pre-NFL rookie drafts until you actually see draft comp go out there. This is going to be like the Puka Nacua situation where it's like, I got him in the 5th. Or, holy shit, look, he was a UDFA for our fantasy league. He didn't even get drafted in this league. I'm going to pick him up off waivers for, $10 or whatever the fuck it is. So, Jack Bech, kind of interested, man. I wouldn't have known who the fuck he was if it wasn't for people like Derek down there just tweeting about him all the time. Just wouldn't stop.
I mean, I'm not tweeting about a guy unless he's freaking crushing it, man. Like, that's, so, I mean, I will definitely say, like, if you look at his film versus what he did in Mobile, he showed a lot more to his game in Mobile than I gave him credit for, even, watching all of his film going before I got to Mobile. So I'm not trying to overinflate what he did in Mobile, but it was very impressive and against really, really good competition. I mean, it definitely stands up, dude. And like, I don't want to like kick us over and transition us here, but like, I do feel like I got to bring up Jalen Royals.
No, go, please. Listen, you actually, not only you should. Please do. Talk. Dude, tell us.
Jalen Royals coming out of Utah State, he was the guy entering the week. I was like, because if you watch his film, and again, we're talking about lower competition, he just looked like he was moving at a different speed than everybody else in the freaking field at Utah State, which is not hard because, I mean, like, obviously, we're, again, the level of competition. But Jalen Royals, the thing that I really want to highlight about his game was if you entering Mobile, I was extremely excited to watch him because I was like, what can you do from a route nuance and a route running standpoint? Because the guy is a rack threat for days. Like, you put the ball in his hands and he's pulling away from dudes. He's got immediate speed. I mean, he just looks freaking awesome. Like, he was, again, on a different playing field. And I was like, can Jalen Royals go to Mobile and have a Christian Watson-esque week? He didn't do that. And I'm not going to say that he did that. But the thing that really impressed me about Jalen Royals was he was not 100% there. He was not healthy. And I got a chance to talk to him at Media Day. And I mean, we didn't go through specifics like, hey, what's bothering you? Because the other thing about this, he had his final season at Utah State cut short because of a foot injury. It wasn't the foot that was bothering him. It was something soft tissue-wise, whether it was quad, hammy, something like that. But the bigger takeaway for all of this was this dude going to Mobile. I was so interested to see how his raw speed would play up against better competition and stuff, because he's running away from guys at Utah State. He was electric as soon as they got the ball in his hands. I didn't see that in Mobile because he wasn't fully healthy. So you didn't see this explosion off the line. But the part of his game that really impressed me was he is a better route runner than I think people give him credit for. He is a better route runner than even I gave him credit for based off of the film. He kept winning guys off the line with his release package, with his understanding of routes, how to separate. And to me, it is extremely telling to me. And I'm not telling you he won every single rep, because some of this comes down to also his health. And when he was asked to run routes in the perimeter, like whether it was a go route, whether it was a double move, things like that, you could definitely tell he was guarding and he wasn't running at 100%. And so if you're going to win those routes where you got to go win on the perimeter, win a go ball, just say a go route, just a 9 route, you need your speed to be able to get on top of the corner, to be able to burst off the line. If you don't have that, are you going to win those type of routes as much as you usually do because you don't have all the tools in your bag at your disposal? No, you're not. And Jalen Royals didn't win in that fashion. But on in routes, on out routes, on even basically the routes where you need that type of release package and understanding of route running and leverage and how to set corners up, Jalen Royals won on those routes. And for me, I wasn't so much questioning the speed and the raw ability. I was like, can you show finer points of your game? And can you get open versus better competition than you've ever seen in college? He did that shit. And so for me, Jalen Royals is one of those guys like, okay, could he be this year? I think he gets drafted. I think Jalen Royals probably goes in round 5 or round 6. Maybe a team loves him and he goes higher, especially if he tests really well and he can get healthy. If he doesn't and he goes round 5, round 6, shit, let's just play the UDFA thing. Could Jalen Royals be this year's Jalen Coker? I definitely think he can.
I like that name pool. I mean, and Jalen Coker did a lot of exciting things this year, honestly.
Yep.
Mike, what were you going to say? Sorry.
The only thing I know about Jalen Royals, outside of what DBro's just dropping knowledge here, which I'm actively listening to,
taking notes. Yep.
He just had Iowa legend and GOAT and 27th year senior Spencer Petras throwing him the fucking rock. So as I'm sitting here stewing over the fact all year that Cade McNamara is our fucking quarterback and he's terrible, and every Iowa quarterback feels like for the last 7 years has been dog shit. I'm sitting there going like, God damn, Spencer Petras is having success. And every time I see Spencer Petras throwing a fucking pass or a highlight, it's to this dude named Jalen Royals. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? One, I know it's Iowa system, but 2, maybe he just needed a Jalen Royals in his life. Maybe he just needed that guy just to throw the football to. So that was my limited knowledge of Jalen Royals. Was like, damn. He made Spencer Petras look good, and I've been watching this motherfucker since 2018. Legitimately. That's not being facetious either. Spencer Petras enrolled in Iowa in 2018, people. Like, seventh year fucking senior. He's like the Cam McCormick of fucking quarterbacks at this point. When he entered the transfer portal last year, just talking about Petras, I don't want to fucking sidetrack this. Eric put it in the Discord. He was like, Spencer Petras just entered the transfer portal. And I was like, he hasn't played for Iowa in like 3 years, man. Like, I didn't. How the fuck's he got eligibility left? Like, what's he been doing these last couple of years? Like, he's just hanging out in Iowa City, just begging college.
Bro, he's on that Tyler Shuck train, man.
Jesus Christ! You know what the selling
he's Van Wilder,
You know what the selling point is for a 25-year-old still enrolled in fucking college? Is like, what's up, baby? I get that fucking 25-year-old car insurance discount, Like, who got money like this? I do. I do. Look at all my savings with Geico.
Oh, my God. Oh.
So,
we got a super chat
Jalen Royals,
at this point,
man.
too, just to throw that out there. Keep going. Keep going. What round What round and or team would Tez have to get drafted at to forget about his weight?
I don't know.
I can't forget about his weight. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the super chat, while really appreciated, like
I can't forget about his weight. He's 155. I can't. You want to talk about Mike? I know we talked about the list of wide receivers under 5'10". Do we want to have the shorter discussion of wide receivers that have been successful in the NFL sub 160 pounds?
Tank Dell.
That's got to be a non-existent list.
Fucking Tank Dell, end of list.
I think, yeah.
Tank Dell was even higher. Wasn't he like 165?
I think he was 155.
Boom. If he was higher,
I thought so.
We have no list. Listen, the only thing I can see
Tank Dell 165. 165.
And there you have it.
I would just want you guys to go back.
By the way, I would also like to throw this out here.
He also dominated
just to blanket that because I have heard it. Tez Johnson is not Tank Dell.
There you go.
There you go.
He's not.
Here's the one for you. Here's the one for you, Dr. B, to answer your question. How fucking excited were you when the Rams drafted Tutu Atwell, where they did?
Yep.
Good system. They put good draft capital into him. Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody gave a shit. And Tutu Atwell produced just as much, if not better, than Tez Johnson did in college.
Yep.
I heard more hype about Tutu Atwell coming out, from the All-Star game circuit at the time than I'd ever heard about Tez Johnson this time around.
I'm not high on Tez.
It's a fucking huge pass for me. Like, just no. 5th round, I'll draft him in my rookie drafts. If he's still there, like, fuck it. Why not?
I'm with you. I think just to kind of I think my big takeaway with this wide receiver class, and I haven't even gotten into the the high end guys of this class, but the general narrative, and tell me if I'm wrong, boys, because again, I'm early in this process, but the general narrative is this wide receiver class is not very good, right?
Yeah, a lot of people say dog shit. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Didn't we hear the same bullshit about last year's running back class, but yet we're talking about Bucky Irving as a top 10 running back? And we're talking about other guys that jumped out of that class.
Definitely. 100%.
Just to say we probably need to just scout players, scout film, scout traits, live in the analytics, and say fuck all these echo chamber narrative bullshit.
Here's the thing, Maddie's been saying this on the podcast for the last couple of weeks, the 4D pod for the last couple of weeks. With the way this class is shaping up, right? Like you said, you haven't dove into the elite guys, and I'll say there's a tier of 3 right now for me, because I have like, that's all I've been focusing on is the elite guys, which is perfect for you to come on and talk about the non-elite.
Yeah, because I literally dude, Adam was texting me about or sending me stuff about Caleb Johnson. I was like, bro, I hadn't even watched him. I can't take shit about Caleb Johnson. I have no clue.
But Maddie has been saying this for a couple weeks now, so shout out to him. Like, this class really feels like for rookie draft purposes, this is either trade up or stock up. Right? Like, so this is, listen, go get yourself a Genty, go get yourself a safe Shedeur Sanders, go get yourself a safe Cam Ward if he gets the draft capital, etc. But if you miss out on those, listen, I love Caleb Johnson, I love Amarian Hampton, Ollie Gordon has done some things in the past. The 233 pounds is a fucking interesting thing. Like, is this guy really a tank, right? There's a lot of running backs in this class, and there's a couple wide receivers that I'm interested in, but the rest of them really feel like, man, like we're talking about Jalen Royals, we're talking about Jack Besh, we're talking about, is Isaiah Bond going to go out and run a 4.3 and like some team's going to take him at the end of the first round, which probably won't happen. We talked about Rashard Smith yet.
Well, here you go. I mean, your wish is my command.
But Maddie's saying, like, in your rookie drafts, either you're trading up and you're locking in one of the elite guys that you actually feel safe about, that you feel pretty decent about, or you're doing the other thing and you're stocking the fuck up, all right? You're going like, give me all your 2nd round picks. Give me all your 3rd round picks. Give me all your 4th round picks. Give me the guys that could potentially be the Bucky Irving. Give me the guys that could potentially be the next Chase Brown in a couple years. Give me the guys that could be a Kyron Williams for a season or two. Give me the guys that could be Puka Nacua or who could have a Jalen Coker moment. Like, let me stock up. Listen, there's going to be plenty of misses. There's going to be dudes who don't do shit. But if it allows me to trade out of the 106 and I end up getting a first in 2026 or 2027 and I get a couple 3rds added onto it, fuck it. Let me throw the darts at these guys and see what happens. So this really feels like the perfect class to do it. Either nut up and go pay what it's going to get fucking Genty if that's your dude, or if that's not your dude, fuck it. Give me 3, 4, 5 of these running backs. Give me 2 of these receivers in the 3rd, 4th round. Give me the home run swings. Let me just Adam Dunn the shit out of this. Either I'm going to strike out or I'm going to crank this fucker 450 feet over the fence, right? Like, I'm going for it.
We're going yard, baby.
I told Maddie we need to put that shit on a T-shirt. 2025. Trade up or stock up.
I like the
it's true.
I like not only the take, but I like the branding of that. Talk to me too about. I'm gonna make some comments, but I want to hear as well. What are your thoughts on? I mean, do we have all these darlings, honestly, that we can at least shoot shots on? Do we have a bunch of dart throws to throw here?
We should be, dude. I mean, I look at this class, and again, like talking about fading narratives and stuff, and it's not just we all talk about like, okay, draft capital matters, draft capital matters, draft capital matters. Okay, let's just go through the top end of pick a position in Dynasty. Like we just talked about Chase Brown. Where did he get drafted at? We talked about Bucky Irving. Where did he get drafted at? We talked about Chuba Hubbard's up there. Where did he get drafted at? You talk about the wide receivers. Let's talk about, okay, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Where did he get drafted at? A bunch of different guys, man. It's like you're an outlier until you're not. You are a dart throw until you are not. And this all comes back to process, and it all comes back to, go back to Tank Dell again. And I know he's been hurt, and I know he hasn't stayed healthy. Dude's been a baller whenever he has been healthy. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't make him not a hit. And so for me, I'm much more in the realm of I want to get a handful of darts, and I want to chuck them at the board. That's where I'm at in this year's rookie class so far. This is not just being go ahead, Adam.
No, I was just gonna say everything you're telling me right now. Like I already, especially playing as much best ball as I do, think that way as just a gamer, because that's typically where you get value. But I'm in lockstep already, but when I'm hearing you talk about guys that I think I can really target for picks or in picks and pre-NFL drafts that are going to be super late, or I'm getting really interested. I have a point I want to make here, but I'm curious to hear you keep going. You were on a roll, and you also, I know, want to talk about Smith.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it comes down to this. All comes back to you believe in the process, you believe in the work that you do. If you do the work from the rookies, I want to take dart throws on a lot of these different dudes because, again, we could be talking about any one of these guys as being that guy that jumped way up dynasty ranks in one freaking season. And it's
that's
like,
where
where
I'm
did
going
this
with
come
this?
from?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it's like take Brashard Smith.
Okay.
I walked into Mobile expecting we were going to see the Devin Neal show. Devin Neal was going to crush. Devin Neal was going to be everything that we wanted him to do in Mobile. And this is not Devin Neal shade. I think Devin Neal had a solid week. I like Devin Neal still as a prospect, still as a player. Again, another day 3 probably running back, another guy that's probably going to go in the 3rd round of rookie drafts as well. Brashard Smith had the week that I wanted Devin Neal to have, and that's as easy as I can say it.
Damn.
For a player that he looked explosive, he won every single one of his one-on-ones in as far as a pass catcher and as far as receiving drills. And because again, like people that are not really, because again, an SMU running back, they're probably not really familiar with his game. I mean, again, but if you're in Devy's streets, maybe you are. But this guy is a converted slot wide receiver, went to Miami for a few seasons, went to SMU for his final year of college, transferred to running back. This dude can run legit routes. He runs routes like a damn wide receiver.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking
Love
about
that.
a player that was 2nd in receiving grade. He crushed in Mobile. I think he's big enough to be at least functional as far as a pass protector to play passing downs. I think Brashard Smith could be, and this is exactly who I comped him to. I think Brashard Smith could be the guy that everybody wanted Kenny Gainwell to be.
Oh, okay.
I love hearing that because Mike had to fight those people tooth and nail for a long time. Those Kenny Gainwell people. Some of them still around until Saquon. But no, I mean, well, go ahead, Mike. I know that was a pretty clear lead for you if you had anything. But I have a few points. I think that you're really, DBro, you're hitting on something that I've always thought about and talk about some. But I feel like there's some pretty good points here that I'd like to get to. But Mike, what do you got here real quick?
Here's the easy one for you people out there. And I fucking love this, man. I love it. I've done it for fucking years. Every now and then, I get this wide receiver convert who goes to running back who surprises with how well they're playing running back. So this started with Antonio Gibson. Now we can make fun of Antonio Gibson now and how it went, but the first couple of years of Antonio Gibson were pretty fun for us in Dynasty. Pretty fun for us.
Who was it last year, Mike?
Mr. fucking Tyrone Tracy. Mr. Tyrone Tracy, who, my God, he's 25. He's 25.
Why do I let Mike go first?
Fucking dude.
For him to take
this is the same fucking dude. This is Tyrone Tracy 2.0.
Yeah.
Right? This is Tyrone Tracy 2.0 without the age concern, without people going, oh, he's like 47. Right? I don't understand.
But Mike, he's not over 200 pounds. I've been told that you have to be over 200 pounds. The NFL's changed. I want to highlight that as well. Because the size stuff, we use that to knock down Kyron. We use that to knock down Bucky Irving. We use that to knock down Devon Achane. The NFL is switching gears, and they're saying, I don't give a shit that this guy's not over 200 pounds. So people need to also adjust to that. But go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
But he also kind of he's got that same like Tyrone Tracy build, don't he? Like, listen, you may be listed at 196 or 198 or whatever it is, but goddamn, you look thick. You look like you got some trunks on.
Damn.
Like you know what you're thick. Damn, that boy thick. All right, so he does have that build, but this is a guy who, like DBro said, played wide receiver, and then comes out and when he plays running back, you're like, okay, we already knew he could go out and probably run routes and beat the shit out of linebackers and slot corners and safeties. Like he's going to be a mismatch. Like we knew that, but you watch the tape on him and you watch him play and you go, man, he's actually pretty fucking effective as a runner. Like he's actually hitting holes. His vision isn't Trey Benson level bad. His vision's actually pretty decent. Now, there are still warts. There are still some times where you're like, oh, okay, this guy's a little bit newer to playing the position. But a lot of people don't want to put out that little patience feeler where I got to wait. Like, he's going to get better. Once he gets into an NFL system and he has an off season and he has coaches to be like, no, you can't hit this hole. You need to hit this hole. You need to be able to look for this cutback. You need to be able to look for this. You need to take this step and hit this. Brashad Smith kind of reminds me of Tyrone Tracy quite a bit. Now, Antonio Gibson would be the easy comp, except for this guy's not going to go out and be 225 pounds and run a 4.3. Like, it's just not going to happen. He's not going to be that kind of athletic freak. I do think he probably comes out, and I'm not going to say he's going to be – he looks more athletic to me than Bucky did at the Combine. He looks more athletic to me than what Kyron did at the Combine. But the game speed – I think
he runs a 4.4. I'm just going to say
I think you're probably in there. He looks like one of those. He looks like one of those 4.48 kind of running backs.
Fluid mover, easy mover.
Very, very fucking fluid. He is absolutely fantastic for one of those guys that you take in the third round of your rookie drafts and just go like, get in the right system. We already know he's probably getting a lot of third down or passing down work. Like this is going to be a fucking given because he's a mismatch for these even NFL players. And if he can secure, 20-30% of the rushing work, found fucking money, free fucking money. And kind of like Tyrone Tracy, all of a sudden we looked up and we're like, oh man, he's supplanted Devin Singletary, who wasn't that fucking good to begin with.
Yeah.
Like he's taken over. So
and he got that contract that wasn't huge, but people thought like, hey, he's going to be the guy. And that was over quick.
I thought he was going to be the guy too.
For sure.
I mean, I'll just say that. I thought
a lot of people did because they did Hard Knocks and they gave him a fucking nickname that nobody's ever used in the history of fucking nicknames.
Wrong.
We called him Motor Singletary. I'm like, who the fuck is ever nicknamed this motherfucking Motor? Okay, get the fuck out of here.
Hard Knocks is one hell of a drug, huh? I mean, but to this whole, I'm sitting here as DBro's talking about a lot of these prospects, right? And I'm thinking about, in all the different leagues I have and how many shots I'd like to take. This is one thing I want to talk about with you guys and everyone here, since we have so many people still here. I was planning to be done, but I'm not done unless, and DBro, you're ready to be done. You just tell me we're done. We're out of here, okay? I basically have a rule with Mike, and we're going to keep, when the viewers go up, we don't leave. That's a rule 101. So this is the most we have.
The whole damn time.
We're at 2,500 almost. It's everyone in my house has been asleep for a while. I'm surprised. I guess I'm not talking as much this show. That could be why everyone's here. But what I will do is tell you this, all right? I will tell you that for me, when I have a third or fourth round pick, right? If I don't move it in a trade, if I draft that, I kind of have the mindset that asset is kind of something that's going to expire and doesn't have a lot of value anyway, right? If you miss a third, a fourth, a fifth round pick, like, isn't that kind of what you're expected to do? Realistically, if you press the button and say a year or two from now, like, don't you expect that to be a roster clogger that ends up going away? Like, the expectation is that, and if you hit or you get some type of value return, you're loving life. But the reality is, for me, like, so if that's the expectation, that's what you're going to get if you draft anyone. But think about it this way from this class alone, and this is just overall dynasty value talk, but think about, there was someone in the chat that earlier was talking about how we got to cool down the 24 stuff. It's just too much. They're just young. Well, the way the market works is everybody wants to be young right now. Everybody wants no salt and pepper in the beard. They want all the young players. I'm going to give you some players that I'm not saying you got it necessarily right or wrong, but these are some players that were 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round, not drafted players. Jalen Coker had 0 value. He is a top 150 dynasty asset. So you didn't even have to shoot a shot for him. But like, just
so weird. It was like somebody was talking about him last draft process. Don't know who the hell that
if only people, you know what's crazy? If only people listened to DBro.
If
people listen to DBro, they'd be good.
I'm not taking victory laps here, bro. I'm just telling the truth.
No,
That's all I'm doing.
But trust me when I tell you, I'm not saying that. I'm saying they should be listening to you. You are in person with this stuff. You've already hit and showed people. One of the best values out there is Puka Nacua being drafted as a 5th round, 4th round, or not. I've seen him go on waivers in leagues in that draft where he's a top 10 dynasty wide receiver locked in. I was late, but I did at least get 2 shares from Mike for Quentin Johnson. All right, I got that up my sleeve. But been sitting here waiting for that, huh, Mike?
I was like, how long has Adam been waiting for that dig?
Jalen Coker.
Wow.
I don't have anything on the screen, but I have 2 shares of Puka. How's that, baby? Huh? Jalen Coker, though, top 150. That's an asset that's. Listen, at this point,
on every waiver wire.
He is a real dynasty asset. He's a liquid piece in a player that people will be interested in. Tied to Bryce, and there's not really any receiving weapons there that scare you long term. You've got not just him, Jalen McMillan, right? Was not necessarily as late as Jalen Coker. This is a top. While Chris Godwin got a crazy season going on, obviously gets hurt, but he's a top 100. He's a overall 73rd on Keep Trade Cut right now. He's in the range of like fucking Tua. I mean, a late pick, right? That you're kind of expecting to miss. And then don't get me started on the running backs. We already just talked about Tyrone Tracy, Braylon Allen, Bucky Irving, Malik Washington. Same thing, not as highly valued, but he's inside the top 200. What I'm trying to say here in a long-winded way, if you miss, I'm not saying that's a great thing, but that's kind of what you're expected to do if you draft these. But if you get 3, 4, 5 in a round, the odds are you're going to hit at least 20%, 40% of them, right? You get 1 or 2 hits. If you got Jalen Coker, McMillan, you've made up for 5, 6, 7 late picks anyway. So to me, there's a lot of value I think that can be extracted and meat that's left on the bone by Dynasty Gamers here. And the biggest thing I think you have to be cognizant of is when the value spike comes, make sure you're realizing what the cost was, and don't let it go back to 0.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I mean, like if you wanted to sit here and trade like Jalen Coker for a 3rd, I think you could do that in the midst of a rookie draft and just re-roll the same bet. Like it's an equity bet. You know what I mean? Like, yep.
I love it.
Big dub. Dub too, right? You just punt it till 1 year to the next. Most of them, like you said, Adam, you just I assume when I make the pick, either I'm hitting something that's going to get a value spike, or this fucking thing's going to 0, like pretty fast. Like I might not even have a chance. I might not even have a chance to get off it. Like I'm taking this fucking player. It's going to be Tutu Atwell or whoever the fuck it is. I'm like, Jesus. Maybe I might get one time I start this fucking guy.
Right.
Like that's
to
a
me,
win.
it comes down to you need to look at the profiles, you need to look at players that stand out, and you need to look at the analytics. Like for every Malachi Corley of last year, there was a Jalen Coker. For every one of those guys that everybody's like, oh shit, look at this guy, he's so good, and you're like, I'm like, dude, I'm not drafting Malachi Corley anywhere.
Thank God.
You know, like there's always those guys that get hyped up, man, and like it just comes down to process. And I keep echoing this, but my dude Ray G, be mindful of the content that you consume. You two guys are sharp as shit, and people need to be watching the show. And it really comes down to process and, you know, getting your guys. And if you do the damn work and you believe in the work that you do, then stand on it. Stand on process.
Dude, 100. I could not echo the sentiment of all that standing on your process and letting the results kind of fall where the chips may. Like people will always talk about your misses. I can go and give you an entire show of our misses for
like,
sure. But
Luke McCaffrey didn't do anything. I was all in on Ben Sinnott. He didn't do anything. Now I know both those are Commanders, and we could say what we want to. Like, there's a lot of players that I've missed on and stuff. Like, I'm not shying away from any of that.
Oh no, I'm not saying that you are. I know you're not.
Once upon a time, I loved Trey Sermon. I'll own that too.
But
this shit happens though. You're talking about like 3rd and 4th round, 5th round rookie picks.
Yeah.
Right. I got 24% in my portfolio. I got fucking 12 shares of Tyrone Tracy that I'm just laughing all the way to the bank that I fucking hit on.
Well,
but for every one of those I have 27% of fucking Rasheen Ali, who's done absolutely fucking nothing.
But that's why this is
probably
I feel
dropped.
It comes into that cost though.
But that's exactly why I think this is such an actionable point that probably isn't covered at all, because it's not. There's no clickbait in the late round guys, right? Until they blow up, like no one cares. So. The point that I think here is, if you flush every single Ali share you had down the toilet right now and doubled it even, none of those get you to Tyrone Tracy. None of those. They definitely don't get you to Bucky, right? So, I mean, shit, they don't get you probably to Jalen McMillan, frankly.
Honest. The other one I had a shit ton of, Jordan Whittington from last year, right?
Sure.
Who did some things, right? How many fucking Jordan Whittingtons and Rasheen Ali's would I have to send you to get Tyrone Tracy? There isn't a number in the world where Adam, you would go like, all right, you sent me 57 of these guys. I'm gonna go.
They're not. It's that currency doesn't play here. You know, you got to go to the exchange market. Like, I'm sorry, but that doesn't work.
Same thing with Puka. I mean, it just
because DJ, especially with the
Tucker Kraft.
There you
go.
go.
Go back to Tucker Kraft. Like all these different dudes that like. If you're locked in and you believe in what you're doing, like the cost, that's the difference in like the, especially like regardless of whatever your team build is, but that's how you crush a rebuild, taking those swings and hitting on those guys,
Big time. And that's what's funny about that is like the cycle and the wave where people pay attention to stuff and care. Like people are getting ready to start caring about 3rd and 4th and 5th round picks again. What amazes me is, I'm going to just say this, whether you're listening or care or don't. What's amazing is during the late part of the year when you're on a rebuild, right? And how many times you're in a close trade and the 3rd or 4th doesn't, as a kick-in, change the trade for you? Yeah. Do you not like Tyrone Tracy? Do you not like stop acting like those players? Yeah, stop acting like those players don't all come. Every fucking person was a rookie at one point in their career. Whether they got drafted or not is on them, the league you're in. But they're all going to become players. You don't have to trade, or you can trade it beforehand. They don't have to. But like the fact that it baffles me still to this day, where if it's a close trade, I'm not saying it's a egregious trade, but when we're in a close trade talks and you don't even give consideration to the 3rd round pick, the 4th round pick, I mean, are you stupid?
Yes.
Are you?
Yeah. You are. You are.
It's a rhetorical question because you don't like those late round risers. I don't understand it.
How many times, like here, this last year is a good example. Joe Flacco's named the starting quarterback. You're on a team that's not competing, right? Like you're not going to win because you got Joe Flacco on your roster. You just so happen to have Joe Flacco rostered. And some contender comes to you and goes, I'll give you the fucking, I'll give you a 3rd. And maybe a 4th round for Joe Flacco, and you're like, oh, he's worth at least a 2nd. He's worth at least a 2nd. Yeah. Now we fast forward here to fucking February, and we're talking about Jack Besh and Jalen Royals and Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, like dudes who are going to end up going in the 3rd or 4th round that we're kind of excited about now. There's a little bit of hype around it. Which would you rather have on your fucking roster right now? 87-year-old Joe Flacco, who's probably worth almost nothing to almost the entirety of your fucking league. Or would you rather have a chance at drafting one of these dudes? And I'll tell you unequivocally, it's a chance at drafting one of these dudes, because if I hit and DBro's out here talking about, damn, you can get Jalen Noel in the fucking 3rd round. You can get him in the 3rd round. And I think this guy, if he gets an opportunity at the NFL level at the right system, might even get 2nd round draft capital. Holy fucking Santa Claus shit. Immediately, whether or not Noel actually does anything in 2025 or not, immediately from fucking April on, April till fucking September,
Yep.
I have the opportunity of flipping that guy for way more than I ever was going to flip Joe Flacco for. Like, you want that second? You wanted that second way back when to straight away Joe Flacco? Now's your opportunity because you just drafted a guy that fucking actually hit and is going to get rookie hype all through the offseason. So I never understand why people, especially when they're definitely out of it, Joe Flacco ain't changing the fortunes of your dynasty team. Just fucking send him. The first time somebody comes in and goes, I'll take him, here's a third, you just go, thank you very much. I appreciate your service. You take him. I'll take the draft pick.
What were you going to say, DBro?
To add on top of that, Mike, and I know with warp and stuff like this also stands up. Why in the shit are you so worried about Jake Ferguson, Hunter Henry, Cole Kmet's of the world? Go get yourself 2/3 or a third for any one of these guys that aren't really moving the needle as far as like those mid tight end twos in Dynasty. I don't give a shit about any one of those guys. Give me 2/3 for any one of those guys, or a third and a fourth. Happily take it. I'll take the swings on the unknowns and the guys that I believe in their profiles and stuff over non-needle mover, boring ass, don't give a crap about tight ends. Don't care.
Because guess what? I can find every year the exciting ones that I can find a way to pawn off, right? And what I say by that, I don't want to just group these players like I don't watch and don't care and project ones to be good and ones that I don't want to have. But the position of tight end for me, I think about as an asset where I don't really care unless the tight end premium is extremely high, and I only play in like 2 of those leagues. So, and I think most people don't play in those leagues either. The way I think about it is a guy like Jatavian Sanders, a guy like Ben Sinnott last year, who I don't really care if they do that well out of the gates, right? I'm not talking necessarily about a Brock Bowers type of prospect, but
yeah,
the reality is that they still, think about this, they still carry dynasty value right now. Like, I can sell those young guys, and I can, if I'm in a rebuild, I can sell a lot of these old guys. But I guess what every year I can do is pay attention to, all right, where can I get my late round shot on Arroyo like we had up this year, right? You can constantly, Tucker Kraft, we have hit on plenty of these players.
You can turn Jake Ferguson into a third and get Arroyo maybe.
That's what I mean.
Pre-draft.
You're talking about, that's actually like, I know it's not Malik Neighbors, it's not Jaden Daniels, it's not those guys, but you're printing money here. You're printing money just from the standpoint of finding a player like this where he's athletic, talented, and people will always see him dripping with fucking upside. I can sell that. And now I have liquid capital to go draft more. Like, to me, the late round picks, sure, you're going to miss a ton. And honestly, when you miss, you might have a guy that you don't even have a sell window for. Like, maybe you just have to eat it. But I don't care if I eat all those donuts because...
But if you hit it, you just turned a third into maybe a first and a second.
And the crazy part is you could hit it to the point where, okay, this year you've hit players in those ranges that you are talking about trading Bucky Irving versus Breece Hall is a conversation, right? Bucky, like, we're talking the players that you had to take at 101. Like, those can be had. And so you also can get to a player to a range where they're a cornerstone asset for your team. I'm not saying Bucky Irving is, but Puka Nacua certainly is. Whether you believe it or not, Amon-Ra St. Brown certainly was. There's just the point I'm making here is I think thinking about late round draft picks entirely different than you have been is probably a conversation that you should start having if you're looking to find ways to improve your dynasty team right now.
It's 1,000% right. Like, DBro brought up the tight ends, and this is why we've prescribed to this theory for the longest time. Tight ends, just in general, like, are always overrated. Like, we can be as happy as we want to be about hitting on Tucker Kraft, right? Being right that he was better than Luke Musgrave, and that's going to be the dude. The minute Tucker Kraft hit Dynasty tight end 7, I went, fucking get off my team, right? Somebody's going to give me a first for him or a second and something else like for him. You can have Tucker Kraft. I'm going to go try to find the next one. I'm going to draft Elijah Arroyo and hope to God like he comes close to it. And then I'm going to spend that capital on positions that actually fucking matter, right? And you can do this everywhere else. Ones that are actually going to hit and change the fortunes. Like, we think way long ago, second round quarterbacks, right? Like those ones that hit. The ones that get NFL draft capital that says, hey, we're going to try to play you at some fucking time and see if you're actually the dude, right? Like, as bad as Jalen Milroe, who you just put up on the fucking screen is, there's enough tantalizing upside with him where if I had a third round pick I'm just fucking tossing it out at Jalen Milroe. It could be a burnt pick. Who gives a shit? If it's right, though, at one point, I imagine I said spending a draft pick on Kirk Cousins way back when, after they just drafted RG3, you're just fucking throwing money away, right? If I was playing Dynasty way back, like, what are you doing? And then in a couple of years, all of a sudden you see, man, Kirk Cousins' starting job. Kirk Cousins hanging around the league. Kirk Cousins putting up fantasy seasons. Whatever the fuck you spent on the Kirk Cousins pick paid off tenfold for you. Paid off massively for you. We just talked about the Bucky Irving thing, Adam. You brought that up, right? That's one that could pay off for you. We talked about Puka Nacua. We've talked about Adam Thielen. Like these kind of positions where if you hit and you're right, go to the fucking moon. It rarely happens at the tight end position. It rarely happens at the tight end position because this shit changes so long. There's only one Travis Kelce in the entire fucking world, right? There's only going to be one Travis Kelce. Everybody else usually comes from a pretty decent pedigree, and they all fall into the same bucket of just like, they're pretty good, right? Like the Brock Bowers and the Kyle Pitts, we know for a fact, like if you want those guys, you're spending early fucking rookie capital on trying to get those guys when they come out as prospects. The rest of them, it's a goddamn dice roll. It's a dice roll if there ever was a dice roll. Like, I could get, the next type of like Brandon Pettigrew, right? Like I could get the next Theo Johnson. Once upon a time, Chig Okonkwo and Greg Dulcich were like top 12 fucking dynasty tight ends off of just pedestrian rookie years. But it was like, hey, they did something. We really like them. Anybody who took them, Adam, and when you put out that fucking YouTube short about it way back when, anybody who took those guys and drafted them was like, hey, I found money, and then immediately traded them and re-rolled them into the next fucking tight end project plus something is just living with fucking house money at this point. And that's the most exploitable, easy strategy in dynasty football is where people overvalue tight ends and they overvalue youthful tight ends and they think they're going to be the next big thing. They're going to be the next great one. Every fucking time one of these guys does something and they get valued in dynasty, I don't care if I miss on the fact that I missed out on George Kittle or I missed out on fucking Travis Kelce, because I'm going to hit 98% of the other ones that don't do anything, that become Brevin Jordan and fade off into fucking oblivion and never do anything. The Greg Dulcich who gets fucking cut by Denver and then like, oh, well, maybe he signed with this team. He might do. No, he's still not going to do shit.
Greg Dulcich
He's still fucking
pretty high up on the boards at one point. No, I mean,
just keep turning that shit over every single year at the tight end position. It's fucking exploitable. It's so exploitable.
It is. And I mean, I want to hear also, DBro. I mean, first of all, I want to hear I want to hear a round of applause. I would know you can't actually. This dude has been on a guest spot with us for this long, spitting facts, having a great time with us, and everyone's getting super unbelievable information, I feel like, for this long. But if you had any points, I know you wanted to talk at least a little bit about Jackson Dart, and I'm curious about what your Milroe stance is too.
I am all the way out. I was never in on Jalen Milroe.
Okay.
I've never thought he was a first round draft pick in the NFL draft. If I will say this right now, if he goes top 15 in the first round of the NFL draft, he is a head coach and GM killer. Like they are going to fall on that sword very badly. Okay. So I think you look at Milroe. I actually, it's funny because I was on the phone with Thor Nystrom earlier today and we were just shooting the shit and stuff like that. I was like, dude, I think Jalen Milroe could have a Malik Willis fall and go in the third round. I think that's definitely in the cards. If you look through all of those, go put anybody, and I charge anybody watching this video right now, go look at the teams that have picks in the second round right now. If he doesn't go in the first, pick me a team that where you think legitimately Jalen Milroe will go. And if it ain't Pittsburgh and it ain't New Orleans, where the hell is he going at in the second round? There ain't a lot of teams that need a quarterback or where you're looking at fit that he makes any sense to. So if he don't go in round one, Jalen Milroe, I think people are going to be so shocked and awed that he falls into the third round of the NFL draft. So I don't want anything to do with Jalen Milroe.
Okay.
Now, on the other hand, I love Jackson Dart.
Okay.
I think Jackson Dart, all this stuff that people are saying about him and people saying, oh, he's going to, again, I think you're going to hear a lot of pushback about Jackson Dart and pick a narrative. Again, we're in narrative season. We were in echo chamber season. And people are going to talk about Jackson Dart's going to get pushed up because this quarterback class isn't very good. Jackson Dart's going to get pushed up because outside of the top 2 guys, hey, we need a third running mate. I think Jackson Dart is good. I like Jackson Dart. I have a first-round grade on Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart, depending on the fit, like right now, I just want Jackson Dart to go to the damn Raiders. You put him with Chip Kelly, you put him in that system, they draft another wide receiver, or they just give the bag to T. Higgins. We're talking about a Raiders team that is in a Chip Kelly offense, and we got maybe T. Higgins, Jacoby Myers, and Brock Bowers. You go draft one of these running backs, you take them later in there, and we got a very formidable offense. So I like Jackson Dart. I got to go back. So I'm finalizing my quarterback rankings because the quarterback episode for Fantasy Pros, the NFL Draft Show, we're actually recording that this Friday with Ray GQ. That's going to be live on Monday. I'm getting through all the film for all the guys. I've got a few to watch. I got to go back. I watched Jackson Dart. I wrote him up before I went to Mobile. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go watch him yet again because there is a world that I might be living in when everybody's listening to that NFL Draft Show for Fantasy Pros, where Jackson Dart is not just my QB3 of this class, he might be my QB2 of this class over Cam Ward.
I heard you kind of teased that earlier on this episode. If you were still with us, it was a long one. We got him. Can't believe this, but talk about this because here's Cam Ward and here's the David Barber he's been with us the whole time talking about Ward scares him a little bit. Ward
scares me a little bit.
Where do you think Jackson Dart actually goes? I know this is a tough question. Okay, so let me just preface that. Mm-hmm. Where do you actually think he's going to go in the draft? If you had to say you had upside and downside.
I think he goes in the first round.
Okay.
I think he's a locked-in first-round pick.
If he locks in first-round capital, before you say anything, he should. If he goes first round, you should be paying attention. Period. Even if you don't like Jackson Dart, I don't care. Right? Like that's just look at 24 for instance. Look at how that all went. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead, but if he's a first-round pick, I don't care how much you dislike him. You should be paying fucking attention.
I think he goes in the first round. I think you can make a case for him to Pittsburgh. I think you can make a case to him going to Seattle. I think you can make a case for him going to, like I said, the Raiders. I think any one of those teams make a ton of sense. I think if Shedeur and Cam Ward go 1 and 2, you can make a case for Jackson Dart going 3 to the Giants. I don't think that he probably goes that high. To me, Jackson Dart feels like a Las Vegas Raider. I could definitively see that. Them trading back. The other part about it is we don't know what the shit the Jets are going to do with their quarterback situation and Aaron Rodgers. Could he go to the freaking Jets inside the top 10?
Yes.
I don't know where he goes in the first round. There's a lot of different teams that need quarterback, but I do think he will go in the first round of the NFL draft, and I'm here for it.
I mean, well, to your point, there is a lot of problems at quarterback for a lot of teams. My Browns, which claim they solved the position and traded 3 first-round picks, speaking of first-round picks, for 1 quarterback. They're back in business for 1. So there's plenty of teams.
They would be a very good fit for Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward could go to Cleveland. We'll see, but I kind
of want to see that. And I'll be honest, I think Jackson Dart is in Superflex leagues. You could make a case, even regardless of where he started, just because if he secures first-round draft capital, he might be the biggest riser. It's just hard to argue because that value insulation of a first-round pick, like you could miss so many of them. You could tell me, look at Kenny Pickett. You can tell me misses. I'm not saying quarterbacks aren't misses, but the value jump you have just by locking in the first-round draft capital, 1, and then the upside of if they actually do hit, it's tremendous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So Jackson Dart might be the biggest riser from the whole thing. Go ahead.
I love his game. I'm not, and this is not just like liking Dart as with the rushing equity. I don't think that he's like a special rusher of the football. I'm not telling anybody that, but can he be a Bo Nix level scrambler? That is definitively possible. I think he runs like a 4.7. I don't think he runs like anything insane like a 4.5, 4.6. Mm-hmm. But I think Dart can run good enough to be at least that level, to like the 400, 500 yards.
to meet a threshold for rushing. Okay.
Yes, where we're talking about. I mean, shit. We just talked about Kyler Murray got 500 damn yards, and we're like, holy shit, Kyler Murray. Like, I think Dart could be in that range. I think that he's probably going to live probably in the 400 yard rushing range in the NFL. But the big part about his game, and dude, I fought myself when I was looking for comps on Jackson Dart because I was so immensely high on the guy that I'm about to tell you right now, and I did not put him as a comp for Jackson Dart. And I'm not going to put him as a comp for Jackson Dart because people are going to take that and run with it and think that I'm legit drunk writing these damn scouting profiles. There's a lot of similarities to his strengths, how he plays his game, to Jaden Daniels as a passer. And I'm not saying that he is a direct 1-to-1 to Jaden Daniels. I'm not saying that at all. But dude,
that doesn't exist.
He is so damn. His deep ball is so freaking good.
Really?
Like his ball placement on his deep ball was one of the things that I fell in love with Jaden Daniels last year about. Dude, I like Dart a lot.
I mean, I've seen him throw a pretty ball before. I wasn't there to see it in person. I take your word for it.
He didn't show any of that in Mobile, and I want to be very, very particular about that. The other part about that is they didn't have him throwing deep, even in one-on-ones.
Okay.
He wasn't throwing, and that's one of the best parts of his game as a passer is his deep ball. Dart wasn't throwing downfield in Mobile. That was not happening.
Interesting.
So some of the best parts of his game in what he was asked to do in Mobile, as well as the situation just in general, it is really hard for quarterbacks to stand out in Mobile. In a condensed week, you have no rapport with the wide receivers. You're being asked to do a bunch of different things, whether it's footwork, because a lot of these guys coming from college nowadays are predominantly in the gun. So they're being asked to be under center, have 3 to 5 step drops, learn the verbiage, learn the plays, learn the offense, learn the install, and also learn all the different things about who they're throwing the damn ball to throughout the week. So it is hard for quarterbacks to stand out in that format. So I'm not telling anybody that Jackson Dart is walking away from Mobile as a massive winner because of what he did in Mobile. I'm telling people I watched Jackson Dart's film, and he can freaking play, and he has a first-round grade from me.
I love that. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I got nothing to add to that. That's awesome. This class is needed. It's very true. The receiver position at the top isn't there, but we just told you, DBro told you for sure about 5 names that you should be keeping your pulse on. I'll say this: we're at the point where while viewership is going up, I'm gonna ask DBro to take a step away from us because I keep going all night. Yeah. Might keep going all night, but it's been 3 hours plus. 3 hours plus we just hit.
I love you boys. So we just sit here and talk and shop. I mean, we're just chopping it up and shooting shit, you know?
I got a real job.
Much. I know. Yeah. Mike has to go to work tomorrow. I will say that if DBro will allow us, because maybe after we've kept him for so long, he's like, I might not be coming back to that place. I know how that goes. We will have, because someone was asking what segment do we get to questions. When we get DBro on, we have so much good to talk about. So I promise we will get him back at some point.
Super chats?
Not super chat questions, no, because they wanted to hear us rap. So
okay.
I will say we're going to get you back on though, and we will prioritize questions, free ones, all of them. We'll make that happen. DBro, I can't thank you enough. Always listen, one of the real dudes in the space too. Mike and I know have so much love for you. I don't want to speak for him. I'll let him talk too, but love you coming on. Love the opportunity to do this with you, and it's just fun for me. This entire process is fun. Getting to know you is fun. Getting to hear your takes is more than fun because I can also profit off of that, not just by having people watch a stream, but by fucking getting late round tight ends again. But hey, appreciate it, man. Everyone that here, if you're here still watching this and you are into Dynasty fantasy football, anything like this, you should check out our South Harmon YouTube channel. We do this all the time. Chop it up with plenty of people in the space as well. We're always looking to do more of that. And Mike, what do you got, man? That's it. Enough talking for me.
No, man, I love Derek. Thank you so much for coming on. If I could just get you to stop dodging me at the Fantasy Football Expo every year, that'd be fucking great.
Dude,
I mean, you dodged me so hard this year that
I dodged you because I'm afraid of what's going to happen when the sun goes down, Mike. I know what happens at the schoolhouse.
Here's the thing, man. You dodged me so hard. Gary sold the fucking school, so we can't even go back there.
It's all over.
Really?
The school got sold out from under us, man. Yeah. Don't worry.
I mean, they found out what y'all were doing.
I will say this: they might have, because it's getting turned into a church. So maybe. Yep. I will say that. That's a nice little mic drop for everybody.
Integrated so poorly.
A church came in and was like, "Listen, we got to figure out a way to. We got to figure out a way to change things here, and these change."
Don't worry. I found a place with a pool and a hot tub.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Is there a stage inside of the house? Is that what you're about to tell me too?
We could put one up.
Or an ATM? An ATM?
I will be there. And there might be an ATM nearby too. Throw in. Yeah. I will say this, DBro, I'm looking forward to linking up with you in person too, but I'm always fucking enjoy kicking it with you, man. Seriously. Great time.
Boys. That I mean, dude, we could get on here. That's why, I legitimately, when we do these things, I know we're gonna go long because we just like talking ball and stuff. So when you vibe, and it's always a great time sitting talking ball with you guys. I
know it's gonna go long. I didn't expect it to go 3 hours, frankly. And I have literally put in work on segments. I was gonna let Mike go on a little rant. We didn't even get to that. I always underestimate how long we're gonna fucking talk. It's insane. It is insane. It's fun though. I will never trade it for the world. All right, gentlemen. Well, everybody here, ladies, gentlemen, with us, we appreciate it. We love you. We'll see you back here, same time, same place. It won't be 3 hours, but it will still be great. We're out of this thing. Peace.